Yo, what's
And
going
we are
on,
here.
everybody? Welcome.
We're early.
We are back. We got ourselves Boosted Catfish in the building. Reaper 1300, Street Cartel. Another
Of
pod for you
course.
guys. Adam, you already know. Go ahead, introduce yourself. You're the living legend in the road
Nah,
race.
no, not even
Everybody
close.
knows who the hell you are already, but yeah, go ahead, man.
Not even close to anywhere near a legendary status, but I do appreciate the compliments. Let's see. I've got a few different bikes. I've been in the scene for quite a while now. I think we can all kind of contribute. Growing up in the era of like the Fast and the Furious. So y'all start with the Hondas and stuff, and then you graduate after that. And I got to the point where the cars were just not as entertaining. So I jumped on a bike and shit, I've been here for quite a while now. So, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon, hopefully.
Did you have a Honda back in the day?
I did. Yep. Yeah. I had a LSV. I don't remember exactly how much horsepower it put down, but it was just a little bit over 200. So nothing like crazy, but let's see, this would have been 2006, 2007 era. So B16 trans and the Type R trans. So it had the quick or the really really tight ratio, and it was like a lot until about 120, and it just petered out after that.
Yeah, no, the B16 has the same gear ratio as a Type R to some extent, except the final drive and the LSD.
Yeah.
So then, because I was a big Honda guy, bro. That's where I come from. So, but that's kind of awesome, bro.
You learn a lot there, right? Like you kind of grow and like I don't know everybody's situation, but I grew up and not the wealthiest, right? So like I'm scraping change trying to get. I remember busting ass and like doing overtime just to afford a set of headers for the fucking car. Like prior to it was LSV Tech, but just before all that stuff, this would have been my first technical car was a Acura Integra. So like that's what I was trying to afford the headers for. So like I appreciate that anybody that like come up, and doing the grunt work of like trying to struggle and build a car and then like learning that. And I can't remember which individual told me this, but you cannot build your daily driver, right? Like that was a big saying to me as a high school kid is like, you can't build your daily driver.
No,
I was bullheaded. I'm like, I can do it. You can't do it.
We're young, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can do this. And the next thing I know, I'm fucking bumming rides. I was like, oh, well, can we?
Yeah, it sucks. Well, I've definitely been there. Reap, when did you go into the Army? When did you enlist?
2003, man. Oh yeah, and Boosted, man. Thank you for your service, bro. Like,
thank you for your service, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, y'all know what I'm about, so.
No, I asked because I didn't know if you got into the car scene at all or if you just jumped right into motorcycles.
Yeah, I see it, man. I almost saluted, bro.
Yeah, but I was curious, Reap.
I never had I was never into cars, bro. Like, at that time I was in South Carolina, big rims, nice paint jobs, nothing Fast and Furious,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, Adam, I was with you all the way, man. I own 3 Type Rs, a couple of K series hatchies, but let me tell you, when I was piss poor broke because I needed parts for my car.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a weird viewpoint you need to look at. That is a lot of people, especially me. I'm very adamant on telling people, hey, don't do it this way because you're ultimately going to struggle a lot more than you have to. Where it also builds a lot of character when you have, when you can put your own differences aside, or not differences, but like, I'm not going to this party on Friday because I'm actually going to work an extra shift so I can making extra money, right? I'm gonna eat oodles and noodles. I don't know what background y'all got, but I'm pretty white trash, so it was like oodles and noodles and viney sausage. So
top ramen.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm still eating top ramen, bro, to afford some of this stuff, man. Like, what you talking about, bro?
I had to catch my sodium. My sodium levels are a little high, so I got to chop back on the ramen. But yeah, exactly.
Hey man, garlic powder on some ramen, fucking you're right. I don't give a fuck, man.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer for sure.
What was the first bike, like some of your first motorcycles when you started transitioning over?
So, well, hold on, let's not use that word. But I actually had a motorcycle when I was in high school. I had my first bike was I want to say it was a 1997 Bandit, and it was stretched. It had a stroker kit on it. It had Mikuni carbs on it with the big, the big sliders that make clunky noise. I mean, they're just loud, obnoxious. They're cool. It was a cool bike, and I learned different things on that, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I got it. I want to say I did a lot of bartering when I was in high school, like because I could do different things. So I would either, work on somebody's car and get some money, or I would trade a car or get something and work it up. You just got what you used what you could. So either way, I got this bike in trade, and I remember like working on it all the time, and I painted it and kind of got it churched up a little bit, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. I'm like, this is a great bike, and I kept it for I don't know a year. Went to the service, and then but cars was always a little easier. And Reap, as you probably know, having a motorcycle in the military just isn't the easiest. For my experience anyway, because you got to gear up. And like, I know that
bro. You remember the PT belts, bro, and the roll guard vests?
Exactly. Like I didn't, they wanted you to wear high vis gear and all this stuff. And it's not necessarily like wearing that gear is not an issue. Like you should be protective, but man, you don't want to wear that. You're 20 something years old. You feel like the whole world's below you because you feel like you're king shit on, Turd Mountain. But it's like you're just trying to get out there and you're just trying to get out there and have fun on a motorcycle. You don't want to wear all this shit, especially coming off base. And I don't know how it is for different military bases. Do what?
Tom Cruise, Top Gun vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That shit don't happen anymore on the base. So, no, like. And then, like, depending on what base you were at, I don't know how it is on every base, but Camp Lejeune was pretty well known about losing some motorcycles through some parking lots, right? So you don't want to have something you're investing money in. So I stuck with cars. Like that just kind of was the thing. Did Camaros, actually that's where the nickname originates from. Is I had a turbocharged 4th generation Camaro, and the name stuck. And it's funny when people like try to give you nicknames like, oh, this is going to be my nickname. None of that stuff ever sticks. Like whatever somebody gives you one and it sticks, it. It's like, holy shit. And that's exactly how the Boosted Catfish came around, because we were just all goofing off and talking shit. And one guy's like, man, shut the fuck up, you little. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but ultimately it turned into Boosted Catfish. And here I am fucking, dude, it's probably 14 years later. Still, this is my nickname.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, bro. That's pretty fucking dope, bro. That's pretty dope. Yeah. So you started really getting into bikes after your service, assuming?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I rode a few while in. I raced a few while in, too, with the cars and stuff. And I went from the Camaro. I had an accident. I went to the vet. And the vet got very expensive extremely fast. I mean, that was a nitrous car. I blew a lot of head gaskets. I mean, transmissions. It was not great for a college student. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
And learned a lot, but ultimately I got bored with it and kind of got fed up and just agitated with it being broke all the time, because I was chasing unrealistic goals for what I could afford at that time. And with the patience that I had at the time. So as the older I get, the more patience I have where I can do stuff and be like, okay, I don't need to do this because I haven't got this yet. You couldn't tell that to 25-year-old me. I'm like, fucking send it. Who gives a shit? And I've got split blocks in half and all sorts of shit. So either way, that was a very expensive learning curve. Well, amongst that time, a friend of mine was selling a bike, and it was a Gen 1 Busa, and he's like, just swing by, check it out. And, it was priced right, and he didn't ride it. I mean, it was not what you would typically see me on in the scene today, but it was a very clean bike. And I snatched it, and I did the typical ride around for a summer. And I started collecting parts for it toward the end of the year. And that bike actually got stolen from my front yard of all places. Well, the place I was staying at, not my current residence, but the place I was at in the time. I just wasn't the greatest neighborhood. I mean, it was all, I'm not gonna say my fault, but it was very neglectful on my end because it was Halloween night. We were all out riding and we got back in at like 2:00 in the morning. Well, I'll wake up and go to work at 5. So I was like, screw it. It'll be fine. Just park them in front of the truck and we're good. So my girl's bike at the time was right beside it. They took the Busa and left her shit there.
Oh, oh
no. So I'm like, well, fuck, there goes that. So, but I'd had a turbo kit for it, and that was the plan there, is I was going to do a very mild turbo setup. And when that got stolen from me, then that's when I acquired the BMW. And then I guess, as some of y'all might say, history was started to be made after that.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, that BMW at one point, that BMW had a little bit of claim to fame.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when you had it. So, like, what's going on with it right now?
I still got it actually. For a few years, I've been chasing. I think it was just shy of 2 years. I've been chasing kind of electrical gremlins on it, and it was potentially, at first it was throttle bodies. So I grabbed throttle bodies. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, it's not that. And my apologies. It was TPS sensors, and there's 2 of them on that generation BMW. So it's like, well, what the fuck? So I ordered one, and then one came from Germany, and I had to wait for a ridiculous amount of time. I can't even remember. And when you're waiting for parts like that, you just kind of get burnt out. So it's not like I was working on it every weekend, but I just got it running the other week, and so far, knock on wood, it's still going fine. I can go out there, crank it up, and I've rode it around the block a few times just to make sure it seems pretty healthy. And then what I would like to do with that is I'm going to get it back into it's not going to be a competitive status anymore. It's just going to be something that's clean, something that looks good. It's probably still going to have, the theme, but it's not going to be like a hardcore competitive bike.
What year?
So it's either a 13 or a 14.
Okay.
And I know that sounds weird, but my buddy Christian at the time had a Gixxer. Well, I met him a little bit later with the BMW, and ours was 1 year away from each other. And I got so used to saying the opposite of them that I can't remember. Like, it's just blocked out of my mind. So I couldn't tell you if it's a 13 or a 14.
Okay.
You don't have a fuel cell on it?
So it does currently, it does still have the fuel cell, but I'll probably go back to the OEM tank. That's kind of the plan, is to go back to an OEM tank. I was hoping to go back to the OEM tail and just make it like a clean bike, but I don't have the OEM tail set or the subframe no more. And the race tail is actually going to a gentleman in California, and the carbon subframe I have here, you have to run a race tail with it. So it's like shit. So I've got to figure out exactly what I want to do there. I might just buy stock stuff and
what carbon subframe you have? Carbomoto?
It's the German company.
Yeah.
Carbomoto.
Yeah, it's that one.
So I have all that stuff coming in, bro. I already have the subframe. The tail should be in a couple of weeks. If you want the stock stuff, I don't think my bike is ever going to go back to stock. So
we'll definitely we'll chit chat about that, because I'm going to reach out to the person that has my subframe, because he's supposed to be giving it back. So my subframe was without me knowing, kinda, but I mean, I'm not, by no means mad at it. But so somebody knew I had the subframe sitting here. It's in great shape. It's sitting there. Well, they sent it to a manufacturer to have it used as the template to start making subframes for the BMWs.
Oh, okay.
So not that I'm mad by any means. That's great. Like, I'm glad it's being used to develop a product, but now I've got to figure out how to get that subframe back into my possession, because it's technically mine. It's technically mine. And like I said, I'm not mad. I mean, just it, as long as you got your measurements off of it, and this bike is becoming where I can drive it a lot more often. I would like to say I'm going to put it back to stock wheelbase, but man, I'll be honest. As little as I've rode it around the block and did some rips on it, kind of forgot how quick the bike is. So I might leave the arm on it and just tinker with it and kind of keep it like a fairly decent running bike.
A streetable bike that's decently fast anyway.
Well, I mean, dude, the 1000, so the way I look at it, the 1000 class, if we're gonna label it like that, the 1000 classes are so competitive. I mean, if you're not 340 pounds and you've got to have a 150-pound jockey on it, you're probably not going to be all that competitive. I mean, you'll probably run good with them, but if you want to be like up there, which I don't have the desire to be the front runner by any means, but still it's hard for me to justify trying to make that bike competitive, trying to keep my Gen 3 competitive. And then my turbo bike is my race bike. So that's the one that is the goal for this year, is to keep that in at least a finals condition, so to speak. I was able to go to the finals at TRC in December, and I hope to continue that trend. If not win a few this year.
Yeah.
So
that was awesome. Go ahead.
Hey, Adam, man, do you think the BMW can be competitive with today's other one? Because I think it's possible. I really do. I mean, you're going to spend some money. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, for me, I don't have the funds. It doesn't make sense for me, because I've got these 3 bikes that I like, and then I have a dually that I'm trying to build too. So unfortunately, I have to allocate different funds to different areas.
You sound like Reaper, Adam. You sound like Reaper.
Yeah, but see, I don't have Reaper's wallet, so it's a little different.
Reaper doesn't have a wallet, I'm telling you, but I have spent a large amount of money on an S1000. So I'm currently go ahead.
I was just going to say, it can 100% be still competitive, in my opinion, even with the older motor. And in my opinion, an untouched stock motor could still be competitive. But with that being said, you're going to have the fucking stars to align up. You're going to have to spend the extra money to get the absolute ounces out of that bike. So you have, because you're not going to have the horsepower like you used to. When the BMW first came on the scene, it was just a fucking monster. It's here we go. And everything worked very well with it. Electronically, that took a long time for us to figure out, or not us, them to figure out. And then it stayed on top for a while. And then you see the progression to the ZX10s, and then probably to the Gixxers after that. Yeah. And the Gixxers have stayed, in my opinion, kind of up on the front because of drag racing. There's a lot more market there. Now, hopefully something changes and we start seeing a different bike. And you see it in rotations. I mean, the S1000, what's the new one?
K67.
67. Yeah. The K67 was really hot. At the beginning of last year or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong on my time frames, but it had its very popular moment, and then it went to the next thing. So you'll always see some transitions between which bike is the most popular, but I still think the early, and I don't know on my Ks, but I want to say it's a K46.
Yeah.
I still think it could be competitive.
I agree. I think that, so I'm in the midst of this shit right now, right, with my bike, because I have a 2014 BMW. Mm-hmm. And when I waited, before I brought it to Tampa, I waited back here before I put the BSTs on. The bike weighed 370 with no fuel in it. And then I put the BSTs on. So let's say, a couple of pounds here and there, right? Without the Carbomoto tail, I'll probably be somewhere in the mid 360s or some shit like that, right? But that's still, unfortunately, BMWs are still under the gun when it comes to the motor itself is 20, 30 pounds heavier. The frame as well, I believe.
I can't verify that.
The frame is, to my knowledge, the frame is pretty light, in the sense that it remains flexibility on the road course. So it's not, the BMW doesn't have a very extremely rigid chassis to my knowledge. So it's not, I don't know if you've ever had the motor out of one of these bikes. The frames are not to me, they're not any. You don't pick up the frame and you're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So they're all going to be within a few pounds of each other.
Okay.
To my experience, I'm not saying that. Yes, the people that are counting ounces and shit like that can tell me the difference. I'm not there. I'm not taking every ounce of shit out of the frame as much as some of these guys do. And that's just because my level of commitment, and that's fine. I understand that. But as far as the motor goes, 30 pounds difference. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and doubt you because I don't have anything to go against that, but I've been able to pick up a BMW motor with pretty much ease. I'm not a strong person, and I don't know. It don't feel any heavier than like an L7 motor or the older Gixxer motors. I mean, it does feel a little bit lighter than a Busa motor, but that's clearly a
different animal.
Yeah, that's an obvious reason.
Different animal there, because I feel like right, like where I'm in the 360s. If I had a Gixxer and I spent the same amount of money, I'd probably be 15, 20 pounds lighter. I feel like to a certain extent.
Yes, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you there because look at the technology. Look at just the sheer timeline difference between your frame for the K46 versus an L7 frame. The technology just between the frames alone are different. So in that aspect, yes, money for money, pound for pound, the Gixxer is going to win that. But you should still be able to get your BMW. If you do the headlights, I just seen, is it Moto Fix or Moto FX or something like that on Instagram? For some reason, I can never remember the last
I got that. Honestly, so this is my issue, Adam, right? Is that I want a streetable bike, right? But streetable as in, I can get on it and ride wherever the fuck I want. I don't want to. I want to be able to ride my bike on a daily basis, right? And that I can only sacrifice so much by doing so.
I believe in total sacrifice.
I have all the carbon. I have the carbon headlights where it's a block off and then a projector. So there's like really nothing there.
Sorry to cut you off, but when you weighed your bike at 370, were your headlight deletes already in there?
Yep. Everything was there.
So
besides my BFT wheels.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you're missing something. I don't know exactly what. I don't, forgive me, but I don't know your full bike. But I still have full headlights in mine, and I'm at 364. So the last time we weighed it, I want to say it was like 364, and that's not included. Okay. Yeah, and I still. There's still weight that I have sitting on the shelf that I can take, I say take off.
Free weight?
No, not necessarily free weight, but like I have parts laying to the side that I could install that would eventually take weight off of that bike. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't have his triple tree installed when we weighed it. I'm trying to think last time we weighed it. I want to say I just put the aluminum, I want to say it's like Alpha Racing's tail, the trellis frame subframe, and then the tail section, but I had to cut the tail section out like a lot. But regardless, you might be missing something. I might can help you out a little bit. We'll chit chat offline.
We'll talk offline, yeah.
Because, like I said,
I love the bike.
Yeah, the bike's great.
I think if I got rid of this bike, man, if my wallet allows it, I'd probably go for a triple R because I love the triple R's and I'm a Honda guy at heart. So
have you rode one yet?
I have not. I haven't.
I sat on one, but I haven't rode it.
I'm telling you,
Yes,
I suck as a rider. Like I'm not a good rider or by any means, but I've been blessed with the opportunity to ride one, and we rode it in Atlanta, and we left where the old Atlanta meets used to be, and we rode up I want to say it was Blood Mountain, and it was me and like 5 Up and Dumungus was there.
Aggressive.
Do what?
Blood Mountain. That sounds aggressive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know if we should be riding this. And so this is right when Ebe got that triple R, like the one he gave away.
The red one.
Yeah, and I'm
Reaper
like,
just rode that. Reaper just sat on that bike.
Yeah, that's up here. It's for sale. They trading it.
Really? What do they want?
Yeah, for dirt cheap, bro.
For a Ducati or something.
Do you know what they want for it?
Dirt.
22.8, I want to say is what they said. 22.8.
Anyway,
yeah, I believe it's 22.8.
Yeah.
All right, we'll think about that in a minute. So that bike right there, like
that bike's light.
Oh, that bike is a lot of fun, and I haven't rode it in that configuration, right? So like Ebe just got it, so I rode it stock exhaust, stock heights. I mean, it was 100% stock, and me and Steve are going up this mountain, and like I feel the back end sliding into these curves. Like I'm touching the brake a little bit, and we're sliding in, and I'm having fun because it's me and I trust Steve, and we're just hitting and switching sides, and like he'll lean on one side and we'll go to the left, and then we'll hit the next curve, and we're learning off of each other, or at least I'm learning off of him, and I'm like, this is the best fucking motorcycle I've ever ridden in my life.
Really?
Like it had great power. It had great handling. It made somebody that is an inexperienced rider feel very confident in the turns.
That's exactly what I said. When I sat on the CBR, I was like, man, I would not mind riding this on the track. It felt like
telling you,
awesome on track.
I don't know, and I'm sure it is still in the same condition, if not extremely better, with all the aftermarket parts and stuff they put on it. But that bike from factory, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, except for it was very blissful when you're riding that bike.
Really?
It was not hard to put into a curve. It wasn't like struggling for horsepower to come out of a corner, even in higher gears. Like, yet again, I'm not that skilled of a rider, so but at the beginning, I would be in like fourth or third trying to come out of these slow 20, 25 mile an hour curves until I got used to it. And it still never really struggled.
Really?
Well, that's probably
that sounds like a bike that you would have a lot of fun on, Reap.
Bro, they cheating from factory. That's why I felt like that.
Listen. I'm fucking tired of Reaper talking about
1 millimeter overboard from factory. Come on, man. I had to pay for
that. They are like
it's cheap.
It is a really, really nice fucking bike. I will say that.
Hanzilla's bike must be a monster on the low, because I saw him make a couple of pulls in Miami, but I didn't get a chance to like go and talk to him. And I wish I would have, because man, that white configuration just does it for me, man. Like,
that bike is really, and I mean, I bust his balls all the time for having blocks, but once he gets to that point and there's an actual swing arm on the bike, not saying it doesn't look good now, but unfortunately, that's just how my mind works. I see blocks and it's like, ugh. It's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing personal, but like I'm trying to explain it how like someone else might see it in the car world or something. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like having Volks. It's like having Rotas, like replica Volks.
yeah, something like that.
You saying the man got a Bobo swing arm? That's what y'all saying?
Hey, listen,
y'all, come on, man.
I'm saying he has the best swing arm possibility that he has available to him right now.
Right now, yeah. Listen, if it was blocks or nothing, I'm picking blocks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you can look. There's plenty of information out there to show that blocks are plenty strong enough. However, you still have that stigmatism in your mind every time you see him. You're like, ugh.
Hey, I tell you. So I just want to address the BMW thing, man. Like, it is possible to get that bike below 360. I think it can get down to 350. That's what I think. But I'm a little too heavy to do what I think should be done. So currently, I'm working on a 2011, which is converted to a 2015-16.
Okay.
Stroker motor, all of that stuff. And I'm actually, and Bernard Cartel knows that I've sent off a lot of parts to get some things made. It's just, I don't trust my big ass on a carbon fiber subframe. You know what I mean? But
I don't either, man. I don't.
Big guy, man. I don't count it. But but at the same time, I don't think that even with all the money that I've spent and I'm still spending, I don't think it's going to be competitive against these cheating ass Gixxer 1000s. We just
why are they cheating?
I'm tired of it, bro.
Why?
Because they are. They cheat.
Why are they cheating?
Bro, because they are cheating. Suzuki got the best aftermarket.
Adam,
like that.
Don't get them fucking going, man.
All right. Oh, you know what? yeah. You know I'm about to go.
He gets all fucking pumped up.
I can't stand Gixxers, man. It used to be ZX10s, bro, and ZX14s, but right now Gixxers on my hit list, bro. Like I'm tired of them, man.
Well, I mean, since you loathe them so much, I see you. I know you've had to see that Boost by Smith and RCC Performance has got their hands on one. They're building a plug and play Max and then a bolt-on turbo kit for them. So
on the Gixxer.
Yeah, on the new Gixxer or on the L7 Gixxer. So.
How the fuck how are they going to manage that with such high compression? Are they going to run a smaller, a thicker head gasket?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be one of those things. It's just like any aftermarket part. You can order a turbo kit. Now, if you are not competent enough to realize that you have a higher compression motor than what you should be running on, that's not necessarily the manufacturer's fault. But knowing Richard and Greg, I'm sure both of them will make the safest product that they can offer.
Well, you already know, man. That's just like building a booster, but in a smaller, spacer plate, low compression piston.
I'm not saying it's not fair. I mean, it
is not fair, bro. Like, come on, Adam, don't be like that, bro.
I'm with you. I trust me. I'm with you. I get it. Like, I like the uniqueness of different bikes, but at the same time, when you're trying to go all out and you got the money, the support's in the Gixxer world, and it sucks. I mean, before I bought my turbo bike, and we can get into that story if you want to later, but the idea and the possibility came up that I was going to turbo the BMW. Like I was dead set on it. I'm like, cool.
Really?
I talked to Cecil at HTP. We had already come up with a wiring or a Motec standalone system. Like he already knew which sensors he wanted to run. And he's like, I got the guy to fabricate it. And, we were already lining stuff up. And we started talking about it. And he's like, what do you want power-wise? And I was like, well, I mean, sky's the limit, right? But I told him, I was like, realistically, 3 to 350 should be very competitive with a turboed 1000. And I don't know if y'all have ever spoke with that man, but he is a wealth of knowledge. And he was just like, I don't think the transmission's going to hold it. And I was like, okay, then we just build the transmission. He's like, no offense, but, do you have that kind of money to start R&Ding transmission parts? And at the time I didn't, I was glad that he was enough, honest enough to say, hey, I don't know if this is the best avenue for you. Right. And because at the time there was only like seven or eight turbo BMWs that generation, and none of them worked.
Hey, are you serious?
That's a lot.
I only know of the one from Hilltech. You remember that one, right? That orange bike.
Yeah, there's one here from Hilltech. Whole Shot Racing did one. There's one in Turkey. They're out there. Like you might have to do some digging, but they're out there. One was being built in Canada. I don't think he ever finished it. So it's just because there's not the support there, the ideas are there. It's just how do you tackle them? And then if you look for that generation, to my knowledge, I only know of one successfully running K46 on a standalone that still was out running and doing impressive shit, not just a one and done Hail Mary pass.
You talking about that? What kind of setup was it? Was it a turbo sitting outside?
Oh, it was I want to say they sprayed it, but mostly it was an NA bike with Sidewinder. It was a drag bike.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a
white bike. It was a white bike.
No, it was Cross's bike. Hold on, I just.
You broke up.
Okay. Yeah, there was another one with Max. Okay,
So
there was another one with
the one you're thinking of, Max, was a 15 and up bike, and that was that belonged to Anthony. I want to say it was Anthony Leverett or his brother. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna try to put a Holly on mine, and we'll see what happens.
So your issue with Holly is and I love the Holly ECU. Is just the size, the sheer size of the device itself.
Is that big?
It's a big ECU. Yeah. I'm not saying you couldn't put it on there. You can by all means.
No. I don't think so, though, Adam. I put them side by side and measured them. So the Holly HP is about the same size as the stock.
Okay. I was looking
not the Dominator.
I was looking at the Dominators because how many inputs and outputs does the HP have?
I want to say 2 or 3, but then I think they have adapters where you can adapt and then add extra ones onto it. You see what I mean?
So yeah, once you start stacking stuff, I'm not sure on all that stuff, but I remember, yet again, it's been some years now, but the Holly, if I'm not mistaken, did not have enough inputs and outputs alone on the ECU itself to run the bike in fully, just because of how many fucking sensors are on these things.
Yeah. I'm in the process of looking at I got to get another unterminated harness, but I think the biggest thing is like crank and all of this. I think the crank's going to be the issue primarily, but I'm soon to find that out. And then I had a 7-inch for it, but I got to now go back and buy a 6.8 because it won't fit at the front of the bike. So
you did what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I initially bought a 7-inch screen for it. Remember the old school, like the 7-inch dashes that Holly came out with?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm talking about, the car guys love it, but then recently they came out with the 6.86, and so I think that's what I'm gonna have to go with, just because I think the 7 is just too big.
Yeah,
that's it.
You can also go to, obviously Holly matched with Holly components are always good, but you can look at like AEM makes a very nice dash that's something to take in consideration that a lot of car guys and most standalone guys don't tell you is you have to be able to look at that dash while going down the road, assuming this is going to be a street ridden bike.
Yeah.
And some of these dashes don't interpretate well with a high glare or high sunlight. So just keep that in mind, because I have a tablet on my turbo bike, and I'll be honest, if just go to anything besides a fucking tablet. Like, it looks cool. Yeah, you can play movies and all that dumb shit on it. But
you legit like a tablet for real?
Yeah. It's just a Bluetooth tablet. It's nothing. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing fancy. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool." It's like basic with that ECU because they're Bluetooth compatible. So you Velcro a dash up onto your fairing stay, and then boom, there you go. Okay. And I can, I was, fucking with Ebe. I pulled Ebe's YouTube up and was like watching it going down the road and stuff. And he got a big kick out of it. I'm like, dude, this is just so simple. But the issue with that is tablets die, but you can wire a battery into that, or, you can wire a charger into that. So that's not a big issue. They overheat, and then the one that I have is older. So, it doesn't have the best sunlight technology. Now, if you find one that's like OLED backed or something like that, then a little different. And then, so you got to make sure it's visible enough to see during the day, but also not too bright at night, because our windscreens are clear. And then trying to go down a street with a high reflective windscreen is kind of annoying too. So,
right. That's like when you add those Raptor shift lights, man. They're so fucking bright, bro, off a clear windscreen.
Exactly. It's that same concept. Yeah. And these are things I learned over time, like that. Unfortunately, nobody was either aware of or didn't know, because the track guys, like, they have their dash and it's just, and boom, they go. All right, cool. And the race is over. Well, I was in the tuck and I'm like, I can't tell if that's a fucking reflection off my dash or a car. Like, it was so.
That's fucking sketchy.
Yeah,
it's
pretty rough. Now,
that's trash.
You can turn your brightness down and you can do your settings, but keep in mind that you have to do that every time. And to me, that's annoying. Where you could put an older as long as you don't need the inputs and outputs, you could put an AEM dash and have it a little bit more analog and it work a lot smoother, so to speak. And I don't mean analog in like big sweeping gauges. I mean like just a basic LCD screen, like just nothing too complicated.
Let me ask you guys this question real quick. If you don't, this is for you and Adam, Reed. So, and Adam, you remember Rye wire harness back in the day?
Yes.
Okay, so Rye wire harness, Reed, is this guy that made harnesses, custom harnesses for like Hondas and shit. So he would be able to get rid of any plugs, anything that you don't need. Do they have something like that for motorcycles, or is that something if you wanted to make a custom harness, you have to do it yourself type of thing?
I think it's a little bit of both, technically.
Yeah, I was going to say about the same. Reap, if you've got a little bit more experience in this one, please feel free to talk about it because my field on this is limited, and I'll explain why.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to shed weight and you have a turbo bike and you just wanted your necessary plugs, could you do that? Yeah. That's why I'm asking. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And your necessary plugs on and stuff like that. If there was an aftermarket place for that.
Yeah. So I think if you're going standalone, it depends on like which one you choose, obviously. And all of them have what's the terminology? An unterminated harness form. You can either do that, or you can essentially cut all the OEM tape off your stuff. And if something doesn't work and you don't need it to run this damn bike, take it off and then retape it right back.
Right. So there's a lot of people in the roll race community. I don't know how vocal they are about it, so I'm not going to tell who they are. But they have taken it to that extreme. They have untaped a harness and pulled as much wire out of it that is physically possible and keep the bike running.
Bro,
Even if you cut the harness in half, like, I don't know, an inch or two, and then solder it back together and wrap it back up. Still, technically, every ounce counts, right? So
every ounce counts, but the way I look at that is that's adding a point of failure. The way I've always looked at it. And unfortunately, I came from the world of BMWs and 1000s, so those bitches are kind of finicky. So the sensors that you unplug and you're like, oh, this will be fine, I can run the bike. Well, you can't run the bike with that. And then the sensors that you're like, oh, that won't count at all. You know, it's just very weird. So I can tell you on my personal BMW, I was too afraid to cut anything extra out of the harness. Physically cut it out. Like I would unplug it and crank the bike and be like, you know.
You weren't sure.
But no, I physically could never cut a thing out of it. And it just, you know, unfortunately, we probably have lost and going to continue to lose that error or that possibility on bikes because they're getting so complicated now and so much more technical, so much more advanced. We'll say it that way because I clearly can't fucking talk. But so like my BM or the Gen 2 Busa. If you have an ABS version, you take the ABS pump off. You've got a light, a check engine light. Well, all you have to do is scroll back to the ABS plug, and there's a wire in there. You can tap it, and all you have to do is ground that wire, and that gets rid of that light. Well, the age of that being able to be done that simple is probably gone. You know, for the new bikes coming out 24 and older.
Okay, yeah.
You know, my Gen 3 so for a while you could take the ABS modules and separate them, and they would run fine. They just wouldn't have any of the hardcore aluminum parts or any of the pump, the pump portions. And you could just leave the electronics kind of sandwiched somewhere as safe as you could. Well, my Gen 3, I'm like, cool, we'll just use the same old school mindset. Like, I'll just separate the pump. Separated the pump, and it fucking locked the bike in whatever mode it does. I can't even remember what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I couldn't use cruise control. I honestly couldn't tell if I lost any horsepower because that bike was sad on horsepower. So I was like, okay, fuck it. So I ended up ordering another one and then Swiss cheese, like the bracket and some other shit. And eventually, Greg has came out with a plug and play, basically ABS delete for those Gen 3s. And the crazy thing about that ABS delete wiring harness is it takes longer to take the fairings off than it does to wire it into the bike.
Man, I tell you, Greg is a fucking beast, bro.
Oh, Greg's a G. Like, I don't know how much you know of Greg and like his history with the bikes and the community.
Man, I know him since what is the ECU Editor and all of that he used to like come out with. Yeah,
he is the foundation for some of this stuff. So yeah, like he should be the Boosted's national treasure. Like, you know, just prop him up on a stand.
He's that guy.
He really is. Because when I say he takes his shit to a passionate level, he takes and breaks down like on the Gen 3 especially. Like, he's got it where if you plug his setup into the bike, everything on the dash works as it did. The launch control works the same. All your functions inside, you know, there'll be a small differences just because of how the programming of the Max works and how the factory programming works. But for the most part, he takes that extra step and makes sure everything is as crisp as it can be. And he does injector harness or injector testing and like how far you can actually push an injector and stuff. He really, I don't know if he's fucking bored or if he just really cares that much, but I mean, he gets into it. And
there's not a lot of people like that anymore, man, that take that kind of passion into any.
No,
you know, there's just not a lot of people like that anymore, man.
Exactly. I mean, he, you know, if you ever got a chance to talk to him, he would be really good to have his story, because unfortunately, I only know from what I've heard, you know, through the grapevine from over the years and what little I've talked to him. So. But you were talking earlier about if somebody offered a service about doing wiring harnesses and stuff like that. Now, as far as modifying a stock harness, you know, there are a few people that have done it. But as far as an aftermarket harness, like Greg is one of the people that are out there that has very nice plug and play stuff. And when you buy his junction boxes or whatever, you hook it up and say you want, you know, an oil pressure and then your turbo sensors and all this other stuff, he lays them to the side and they're already wired up, and you just got to run them to their designated area. Wow. And he's ran it with a, you know, I don't know how much he does this or offers a service, but he has ran it where he's got a factory harness on the wall and he can lay an aftermarket harness in that same length and knows how long each line needs to be or each terminal needs to be for that sensor.
And all that. That's fucking sick, man.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I
want to say he has a YouTube channel, right? Doesn't he?
He does.
Like he puts up on YouTube, so you need to check that out. Like that dude is smart.
I will.
He's very technical. Unfortunately, Greg, if you ever see this, sorry, buddy, but his YouTube content can be a little dry. But that's just the nature. That's just the nature of the beast. When you, I don't mean it disrespectfully by any means. But when you get into very technical content like that, it's gonna get dry. It can come off as very dry.
Yeah.
And you know, in the world that we live in today, if it's not 30 seconds and explained, it's like scroll to the next one. So it's very hard to captivate.
Unfortunately,
it's very hard to captivate the attention and really like get your point across in a short window like what he's doing. Now, he has significantly dropped his times back on his videos, which makes him a lot better. But dude, he is a brainchild when it comes to this stuff. And I'm not even just saying a child. I mean, I don't mean this in any disrespect. Like I very much look up to him. He is somebody that we've needed in the Suzuki world. And unfortunately, he only does Suzuki stuff. Well, I take that back. He's doing some Harley stuff too, but he's a one-man operation. So
only doing Suzuki stuff. See, man.
Well, okay. He's doing something. He's doing something for Harley right now.
Anyway, Harley's where the money is.
Bro.
That once they got into Harley, they're fucking like street bike. What? Where? I don't.
I'm gonna let you know right now. For those that don't know, I've been banned from tuning through Woolwich, so I was like, "Fuck it, I might just go start tuning Harleys." Like, who gives a shit?
You really? Why? I don't know.
Banned from Woolwich. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, what they can do? Well, they could probably do something to me.
Yeah, 100%. I'll say it like this. If you have not looked at their terms and agreements, you really should, because at one point, and I don't know if it's still active, but at one point, and I have a receipt to say this, if you had any other tuning software on your laptop or your computer that you were tuning with their software on it, that was grounds to be basically terminated. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
shit.
I don't think that's fair.
And,
Bro,
and exactly, because I have like on my tuning laptop, I have, I have the WinPep software. I have, I have had Woolish, I had Haltech, I had Max, I had Holly. Like I have all these different stuff because I tuned a various different things. Yeah. And I'm not buying multiple fucking laptops for this shit. Fuck that. So
how did they find out though? Like what was the issue?
So unfortunately, my issue was never brought to light publicly to me because they refused to contact me.
Really?
I found out through a second party that the devices that I sold them, because I was just trying to be a friend. Like I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm blacklisted, whatever. Here's all my shit. I was going to sell it at a good deal, and he went to go transfer his shit over, and I'm like, if they give you any issues, I'll make it fair for you. And they told him that I'd broke policy and all this other stuff, and that my devices were basically just trash. They were
no good.
They were permanently banned, and whatever. I mean, it just is what it is at this point. That's water under the bridge. But Google, for those that are wondering, like I'm not the only one. Google Woolish and terminated account, and just see how many other
people.
Yeah, I'm talking like very, very successful businesses that were shut up like that overnight through them.
Wow.
So it's almost like Woolage or nothing kind of a deal to a certain extent.
I don't know exactly on that. Like, I don't know what their new terms of agreements are. It seems like they're trying to get a little bit more prominent in the scene. But I don't know. Like, I can't speak on it, what their current, terms and conditions are. But at one point, yeah, it was weird. Like, if you had FlashTune, which is a direct competitor of theirs, if you had FlashTune in their software, like you were damn near asking to get, yeah.
You're done.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I don't understand how.
And now, so now that I don't know how much like middle-aged bikes you tuned. So like the Gen 2, the Gen 2 Boosted, to my knowledge, is still open. But say the Gixxer, the 07 Gixxer, the 0708 Gixxer was an open source code because that was ECU Editor shit, right? So that was also always supposed to be a free tuned, to my knowledge. Apparently that's not how it was once you start getting into some more of the information behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But now you pay for an 0708 license on Woolish, and you used to never do that. You never did that. I've tuned, I couldn't tell you how many 0708 Gixxers that I've tuned, and you never had to have a bin file for it. So it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then boom, why do I have to be connected to the internet to tune an 0708 Gixxer? That's weird. So doing research now, every time that you have to be connected to a bike, as you're sending your file to your ECU, it is also sending a file to them.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So dang, they have every tune that is basically installed into a bike through Woolish, they have access to it. To my knowledge. I don't understand. So it's not like this. To my knowledge, that's how it works, because I don't understand why you couldn't say that is not what you're doing with it. You might not actually be actively using it for that, but you're collecting that information for some kind of data.
Yeah.
Why are you collecting it? Why did it go from not having to be hooked to the internet and not having to pay to bin files to now having to pay that stuff?
Huh.
So it's just a very interesting question.
No, that's really interesting, man. That's really, really interesting. I didn't know that you tune as well.
I used to, yeah. Well, and I still do. I still do a bunch of car. Well, not a bunch, but I still do some car stuff. And then, I still tinker with my personal stuff here and there. But ultimately,
turbo boost up?
No, that is 100%. Yeah, that's
another animal.
That was a very, very huge issue. I did the best I could to try to fix a lot of my issues, and then just struggled with it. And luckily, by divine fate, I met Mike, and me and him become really good friends. And now my turbo bike basically is in his personal possession. So, like, I trust him fully with that bike. So he has been nothing but wonderful there, and helped me straighten that bike and turned it around to where it is today, or where it was in December.
Now is Mike a tuner all the way through and through, or
so I would say Mike's one of like the last like hardcore OG guys around. And I say it like this because Mike is not diverse in just like drag racing. Mike does everything. Mike was at one point was the Pirelli like distributor for the West Coast. He was at AMA races. He was at all the big sanctioned road course races. He did a lot of turbo bikes over there in Colorado and stuff like that. And he's really grew up through the community with those, I hate to say it, Mike, if you ever watch this, but during his prime, like the Gen 2 boosters were the shit, right? Like that was what's on top. So that's what he was pretty much known for. And he talks about it. He started off paying somebody building his motors, and then it just got to the point where he couldn't afford to pay anybody to keep rebuilding his blown motors. So he's like, fuck it, I'll learn how to do it
myself. Yeah,
exactly. And then since then he's taken the I don't know how to say it, but his attention to detail is like really spot on. And honestly, I don't want to say I would have gave up on that bike because I'm too fucking hard headed, but Mike definitely saved me a lot of time,
Gotcha. How's the bike running now? Because I mean, it did well in TRC you know what I'm saying?
So in TRC, we had a little bit of snafu kind of. So last minute, I thought I was going to be slick and change my wheelbase, right? Because why not, right? That's what you do. I mean, if my class allows me for a 64-inch wheelbase class, I'm going to get a 64-inch wheelbase swing arm, right? Like that's just what's going to happen. And thankfully, Evil hooked me up with, getting me the arm as fast as they possibly could. And it, no fault of their own, but it was like last minute. Right. But they definitely facilitated me a swing arm, got it on there, got it installed. And I'm like, yeah, this is badass. We're going. And I didn't have them install an air tank in this arm. Right. Because every time I order an arm for them, I always order it the lightest possible arm. Like that's just how I order my arms. And they didn't put an air tank in it. So it's like, shit, whatever. I didn't think much of it because I have a whole bottle in the nose of that bike, in that purple bike. There's a whole nitrous bottle up there. So I was like, all right, we got plenty of air. Well, come to find out we didn't have plenty of air. So that's what happened at TRC. So I was a little bit down on power. Actually, I was down a good bit on boost, but as far as that goes, yeah, everything's running good. Like if I keep the same setup where I was last year and then going into the Darlington event, I feel very confident. We'll say it that way. I don't know if I'll win, but I feel very confident I'll do well.
Are y'all going to turn it up anytime soon?
Yes. So it's getting the turbos off of it right now. It's got sent out. The fuel pump's getting installed. Like we're doing the fuel system. That was my limiting factor before.
Okay.
We were always limited on fuel pump, but with the time restrictions that we had last year with facing some stuff, it was just, let's keep it like this because we weren't utilizing the power that we could already produce. And when we went to TRC, we were stuck around that 20 pounds of boost area, which sounds like a lot.
It does sound like a lot.
it's not like unfortunately the turbo that I have on my bike just does not make power under 15 pounds of boost. Like it still makes power. I mean, it does decent, but it really turns on after that. So
is that why you were coming out the whole rolling anti-lag?
No, that was me being kind of a bitch about it. Like that bike still terrifies the shit out of me. So I'm getting used to it and trying to get more and more comfortable on it. But it was a mix between the way that Mike was had the anti-lag set up is I had to be on at a certain time before it would be a boost, right? Like that's clearly how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I was leaving because not Darlington, I'm sorry. Bradenton is so short of a run up that it's very hard for me to be consistent with how I got on the boost. And me trying to be fair to everybody, I would make sure they were beside me before I ever tried to get on the button. My fault. That's not nobody's issue besides my own. Well, now we've corrected that, and I can build boost fairly fast. So that should be resolved. I should be able to leave on more, and then I'll have double the boost more than likely.
From what I was watching in the event, it almost sounded like the rolling anti-lag was not working to your advantage in that event.
It doesn't. It's very hard on that because as much as we all want to be like, yeah, let's go from a 40-mile-an-hour roll. Everybody's like, let's go from a 45-mile-an-hour roll. If you listen to people's Instagram videos, they don't do that. They get close to 40 and then they'll start pushing up.
Yeah, that's hard to gauge.
And then with you adding that along with the heat, the being in uncomfortable, riding gear because nobody's used to riding in full leathers, and everybody trying to get the leg up, it just is what it is. And they don't really specify the rules that well. And the TRC Viet could be better. Like I will still support it because it's still a fun time, but it could be ran a lot better. The Darlington event is an arm drop, so there's going to be really no discretion there.
When is the Darlington event?
I want to say it's April 28th, but I know it. Do what?
Darlington. I don't know where.
South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. It'll be good. As long as the weather's there, there'll be some pretty fast cars there, like big horsepower cars, and then your carbon jixers will be there. I know Brett and Chase were there last year. They won last year.
Shout out to them, Brett and Chase.
Dude, they're great people.
Yeah, Brett's a good dude. Shout out to the guys in the chat as well. EJR, what's up, brother?
Dude, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Maybe I'm not watching it right. Either way, but the that event should bring out a lot of people because I want to say I don't know if they did it this year, but last year they tried to keep it to like 16 bikes only, so the tickets sold out relatively quick.
Yeah, that's not a lot at all, dude.
Well, so last year was his first time ever doing bikes. The guy that runs that is Lewis. I don't remember Lewis's last name right off the top of my head, but he's got like some pretty cool shit. He's had an underground Lambo and a couple R8s and shit, but he's just a genuine car guy. Like he just wants to race. Like he don't give a fuck. He'll race whatever he can as long as it's in a safe environment. And thankfully through networking, he heard about the bikes and not having a place to run. So he's like, let's set y'all up a class and let's see how it works. And
that's sick.
Yeah, thankfully he gave us the opportunity. So fun fact about that event is he never had to rerun any of the bikes.
Really?
Never. We showed up and we piled together, it was a lot of the older, more experienced guys in so to speak. You had Brett and Chase, you had Samiti there. You had some of the Atlanta guys. Like you just had a very good group of guys there racing. And we all agreed on like, hey, let's play no bullshit. Let's play no games and let's show them we can be serious about this. And as long as they give us a fair place to run. And dude, I've never been so proud. Like I did nothing. I actually did poorly at that event, but like just being part of that, saying these guys, we had no issue. Everybody ran flawlessly. There was no bickering back and forth. And then the cars were like rerunning 2 to 3 times. And dude, the bikes were done. It's like, this is great. So yeah, Lewis was like, dude, if I could just host a bike only event, he's like, I would, but
are you going this year?
Yeah. I've already signed up. I signed up, technically I signed up before the class was actually publicized, but.
Oh, wow. So that's around the same time as the Georgia event, man. Over there.
Maybe.
Yeah, the Georgia event's on the 27th, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's the last weekend of April, the Georgia event.
So that sounds like the same weekend. Because if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken, I caught wind of that and I was just like, okay, guys, I'll be somewhere else.
yeah. No, damn, bro. Like I'm a little sour, bro. I wish I would have caught wind of that. That sounds like a lot of fucking fun, bro. I'm yet to go to a TRC event.
It's it's the 26th and 27th.
Oh yeah, right in the same weekend. Yeah,
right in the same weekend.
So, and I want to say that's what they were talking about because they were like, "Hey, we're going to come to do something in Carolinas." I was like, "No, nah, I'm going down here to race." So, there's that one, and then there's another one coming up in. I don't know if I signed up on this one. I'll have to go to my emails on it. So there's Streetcar Takeover in June, but then we have another one at MRI. That's a roll race event. I want to say it's 1,750 feet. So it's a little over a quarter mile. So, and it should be a good one. Like hopefully Boosted H2 is able to meet me there. So it's going to be, I know for a fact it's going to be me and Boosted H2. And I want to say we're going to take Juggernaut, but I don't know. Or Jigsaw, not Juggernaut. I don't know what fucking bike Juggernaut is.
Yeah, I was about to ask, who the hell is Juggernaut, man?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the second time I've called Jigsaw Juggernaut.
sounds fucking crazy. You know what I was gonna ask you, Adam, bro? You had made a real quick. You had talked about shift sector really quick on Evan's pod, bro, and shift sector is something that I was very, very interested in, bro, because it just looks like a good time. And I reached out to them and they told me that they have like a motorcycle class, and also you could just set up races with pretty much whoever you want.
Yeah, whoever you want.
Have you ever attended one?
No. And that's my fault. You know, it is what it is. I plan on going, but if I'm going to one of those events, I want to take my turbo bike. Well, if I'm going, I want to make sure I have my, my A game, right? I want to make sure I'm prepared. So as of right now, I plan on going to the one in October. But I reached out to him as well because after Miami, we all have at least heard about the chaos that ensued from there. So after that, like I just got to really, really just, I don't know. My whole soul is on fire. Like, get the fuck off the street. And I know that sounds bad. And I don't think I'll ever fully come off the street, but like some of these bikes are getting extremely too fast to be raced at crowds like this. As much as you, say that where I talked to you at, we were in Miami or we're at the spot.
Yep.
Now imagine that. And somebody's trying to come through there at 250 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's that's not safe for the pedestrians. That's not safe for the riders. And I know I sound like the fucking old hag at this point, but like, it just is what it is. Your life experiences show you different things in life. And to me, I can vouch and say you can only play with fire for so long before something catastrophic happens. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody. I've lost too many friends in this game. And I don't want to see it. Like, I just don't. So I'm trying to make the push myself into more sanctioned events. Hence why I'm trying to go more to these sanctioned events with the tracks and the shift sector.
No. Well, and this is why, like, I did I mention it to you, Reap? I think I mentioned it to Mike, maybe not you.
You did say something about shift sector, but my question would be like, so if they can't do it in the street, the tracks are too small for a 250 mile per hour. Well,
shift that's an airplane base. That's a base.
Right. So shift sector is on airplane or on runways. So they have
a runway.
Yeah, they have the real estate. You won't have the surface. So clearly you're gonna play this versus that, so to speak. You're either gonna have good surface and a shorter track, or you're gonna have a longer track and not as ideal surface. But guess what? You're going to have anything's going to be better surface than South Florida. So it just is what it is. But so I reached out and I've talked to Burns. He's supposed to be getting back to me because, and I didn't know this until recently, but he's been trying to do like full blown meetups at these shift sector events. and he told us, and he reassured me that we could do competition events, not mile an hour events, like full blown ET competition events. So, I'm trying to get up with him and see if we can't get something a little bit, even if it's loosely designed or planned, so just something in the motions for like October for that shift sector event.
Oh, okay. Do you know how much it costs for the shift sector event and where it's going to be located?
So the one that we're looking at, I want to say is Hundo, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know the prices. I can tell you from like the Wanna Go Fast events that we used to do several years ago, they were almost like $400, for a weekend pass.
Holy smoke, that's more than the Ohio Mile I went to. God damn.
Yeah. Like there is, unfortunately, it does cost. And then you got to have the safety gear. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not an easy switch because it's fucking pricey, but look at it like this.
Fucking well worth it, man.
I can spend, and I don't know, like if by all means, if I'm wrong on the shift sector price, please tell me. But I want to say it's a couple $100 and you don't have to run from the cops. You don't have to, you can sit there, you can pull right up to your trailer. You can have your hot dogs on the grill. Yes, it's not the street. And like, I'm like, that's where I've came from is the street, and I'm in love with it. But at the same time, I know where it needs to go. It just kind of is what it is. Unfortunately, now you want to kick it with your boys, about 10 of y'all, and go have some fun. That's a lot different. But everybody wants to see these bigger bikes race, which is great. Like that's what we want. That's why we're building these things, is to show them off, right? And it's like I said, it's dangerous for the rider to be barreling into a crowd. Like if something forbid something happens, you can't duck. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's going to look like a scene from Biker Boys, Yeah,
I was about to say that, bro. I was about to say that.
But it's the reality. At the end of the day, it is reality. Something like that can happen. And I don't know how y'all are. Like, I have locked a motor up in 6th gear. It is fucking terrifying. So
No, I have not.
If you do that, hey, your lights went off there, buddy.
Yeah.
If that happens, like, first off, you have to have the experience to do whatever you have to do to keep the bike upright. Well, then you add into, oh shit, I have to dodge crowds, or I have to dodge, whatever. Like this year, you had to dodge all sorts of shit in the road. So it's just not safe with these bigger bikes. And that's not taken away from the little guy either, but I'm just saying, like, it is reality. Not too many people care about the smaller bikes as much as they do, Chase and Brett going at it against whoever, like Ralph and Chase raced in Miami. I can only imagine how many people were standing around to watch that outcome.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of my logic there. I mean, granted, I know I kind of probably sound like a little bitch and shit, like, oh, he's telling to get off the street. I'm just saying, like, in a safe environment where we could all sit there and watch the shit and be like, oh, instead of we spun, now we got to wait for the traffic to die down or whatever. No, we just turn the fuck around and cool the bikes off and we get back at it.
Right.
So, and don't get me wrong, these shift sector events are not like the drag strips, So like, as long as the car doesn't blow up, they most of the time don't ever have to fuck with the track salt, the surface. They might run a leaf blower down. Well, not a leaf blower, but they might run a jet blower down through there every once in a while. In my experiences, but for the most part, it's just, oh, that car's off the track, run them, run them. So you can get as many runs in as you want, in my experience with some of this stuff.
Okay, typically at drag races, man, like the drag strip, you're not going to get too many passes. You just wait around a lot, but
you wait around, and then at the drag strip, let's face it, every fucking shit box and it is in the staging lanes, and they're going to blow up, and they got to drag the track. They got to, they got to temper,
I'm back.
They got to prep it again. They got to fucking torch it. They got to scrape whatever, there's just a process in it. Whereas the Wanna Go Fast stuff, because it does cost so much money, people are more prone to having their shit together. Instead of paying $10 to run at Test and Tune, they're running $200, and they got to make sure their car doesn't blow up the first pass, because this is an expensive outing.
Right.
So the quality of things you see changes, and you get a little bit better of experience because it is a little bit faster paced, because you don't have to sit there and wait for fuck ups. Now toward the Sunday afternoon, stand the fuck by, because most people are trying to do that last minute Hail Mary thing and look good on 1320. But for the most part, it's pretty calm.
So I think that for myself, man, like an event like Shift Sector.
Mic on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because okay, I wanted to make sure.
An event like Shift Sector, bro, I think anybody that really wants to fuck with road racing like that, I would pay a substantial amount of money to be in a safe place like that, in an airport base.
You have to make it feasible, and you have to make it make sense. And before I get too far on that tangent, Reaper, was there anything you wanted to add previously? Because
no, I had I have a question, but it seems every time I'm messing with my settings and stuff, because I don't think you guys can hear me clearly unless I'm talking like this or something. I got a little ghetto rig system going on over here.
So I think so in my experience, what's happening is when you're talking, your external mic, since you don't have it on a headphone, is trying to pick up through your microphone as well. And I think you're just getting a little bit of distortion there. So it's hard for us to distinct which is which.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't
know, because I'm every time I try to say something, I'm looking at y'all to see if y'all hear me, and y'all keep going, and I'm like, well, is this thing on?
I don't.
Sorry, I'm used to talking over Evan if I'm trying to make a point. So.
Okay, gotcha.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
No, and that was just a little stab at Evan. We all clearly know we fuck with each other all the time. So, but as far as back to the airplane strips and stuff like that go, we were talking earlier this week, and to make this stuff work, like ZMAX, when Streetcar Takeover comes to ZMAX, I've heard it's very close to $20,000 a day for 2 lanes, right?
Wow.
So you have to be able to afford that. Obviously, pay your gate fees. You got to, whatever, you have to make it at least cut even. Yeah. So the road racing community, unfortunately, y'all motherfuckers will spend some money on parts, but y'all are cheap. I'm cheap. I get it. I'm this same person. So it's really hard to say, yeah, let's rent this airplane strip and we can run here all day, but we have to have a safety crew. Well, that safety crew is going to charge us $5,000 or something to stand around. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, $5,000 between 24 people is not bad. Well, then how much does the airplane, how much does the actual property want? Okay, cool. Well, then are they actually going to be okay with you doing a speed competition there? Because that's a whole nother set of insurance and liabilities there. So unfortunately, when you start racing and trying to do a sanction stuff, it just comes with a lot of fees. And when as everybody's first response is oh my God, $200 a day to race. Yeah, that does suck. That does suck. I mean, I don't disagree with you at all, but what you get in the long run, in my experiences, pays off, because you don't have to pack your shit up in 30 seconds and run from the cops.
Yeah.
It's
it was
just
bad in Miami. It was bad, bro. Loading your bike up, I had to sit in the back of the trailer while we're taking off. It was fucking a shit show.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it takes away from the excitement of it, but at the same time, it's a different experience. If any of y'all have done any kind of track racing, the experience there is just different, because I think the edge and having to wait for the cops is gone.
Yeah, me too, man. I would pay $200 gladly, honestly, bro.
That's just a number. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
I need to harp on that.
I feel like it's probably more than that, all things considered, all the way around, like insurance, all that stuff. It'd probably be more than that. But once again, to be in a safe place I don't know, man. It just, for example, I paid a substantial amount of money for 2 days in Miami, just in fuel to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole, probably like 3 days. I spent a good amount of money, man. So it can't. The way I see it, it can't be any worse than what I spent in Miami in 3 days,
Right.
just to go. And I wasn't even I'm not a built bike, so. Just in 3 gallons of MR12, you know what I'm saying? That's almost $1,000.
Oh my God. I'm not trying to ignore you. I was actually trying to get the price of the Hundo event, and it's asking me to do my like full name and everything. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I can't even inquire about a damn price of a ticket without going through a whole subscription thing or sign up thing. So sorry there. But yeah, I mean, it does take some fun out of it, but I think eventually that's kind of where we need to go if we want to see this progression get faster and faster and faster.
No, I agree. Reaper is someone that attends a lot of different events during the summer, because he's just a motorcycle like enthusiast as a whole, He does everything.
So that's what I was telling Cartel too. Like, I don't know how many events I can actually get to just because I love road racing and drag racing, land speed, like you name it,
Right.
But I do need to get to some of these events,
anything to get your blood pumping, right? Like that's the way I look
at it. Yeah. It's gotta be
something I didn't add on to the earlier when I switched back over to bikes. Like I left a car, my vet had 400 plus cubic inch motor and over 400 shot of nitrous, and it was a fun car, but it kind of got annoying and boring because it was broke all the time. The bike, even a stock motor Gen 1, I was like, wow, this is so much different. The bikes have always kind of kept me on edge and kept my blood pumping where I'm staying here. So I'm with you. Like I would love to start road course racing, but I just don't have the pockets for it right now.
Shit, me either. If I'm paying $200 to roll race.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, how much is
5 gallons of MR12, bro?
How much is in all reality, how much is like a track day event?
I think the tickets are about, well, it depends on the track day though, but they probably range from like $200 to $300 per ticket.
Right. I mean, granted,
that's just
the ticket. That's not including your tires, your fuel.
Yeah.
So there can be a market there. Like it can be a thing. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
Just like everything else. I mean, where do you think road course racing started? On back roads, on some streets, and they just got down. And then it moved to the next thing and then progression. Unfortunately, we are so new and we were kind of bastardized as a long time for roll racing because who fucking roll races? Like, ooh, grow up. And I understand that logic. I mean, it sucks because we all roll raced on the way to the dig spot.
When me and Cartel was talking about that, didn't I say that the other day? That's something we just did, and now is the title to it. That's crazy.
It's crazy, and it's almost like cool because I remember what it's you know what I mean. Like I'm not gonna say I was part of it by any means, but it was like I remember the progression of it, and it's like cool. Now we're actually doing events for this shit. Like, holy fuck. I remember the first time I heard about a roll race event at an airstrip, I'm like, this is amazing, right? Like this, holy shit, we have made it to the big leagues. Crazy, and we still not there. I mean, it's still coming around. At one point, South Georgia Motorsports Park was supposed to extend their track to facilitate a half-mile event on the drag strip. So it was going to be, it could have been a half-mile drag event. And now I don't know what happened to that project. I don't know if they scrapped it or what.
I think this is a question for both of you. What would y'all rather race? Like a half a mile, a 9/10 type, quarter mile, 1 mile? Like what do you think for both of y'all?
Well, that's tough for me. I would say half, but for Adam, if you're are you bringing your turbo bike or you're bringing your all motor? Because if it's turbo bike, you probably want to do 9/10, right? Half?
No. Yeah. So really? Okay, I'm assuming you are saying and putting this in perspective as a roll race. What would I rather roll race as?
Yes.
And if that's the case, then it would 100% be a half. And I say this because the 9/10 is a great experience. Everybody that roll races needs to experience just flat out 6 gear, holding it out, and learn that your elbows being here and here can make a difference, right? Like you learn your body positions in 9/10. You learn your aerodynamic stuff in 9/10. But unfortunately, it's very, and I'll probably get, crucified for this, but it's a lot easier to just have more horsepower in 9/10 and still win the race. And the half mile brings it into, you still have to have a quick short half and a still sustainable back half to win the race. It's not just a horsepower game. It's a little bit more of everything combination. Now, obviously, the shorter the distance, the quicker your front half has to be. But it all kind of plays, and I think the half is like a good happy median because, like, granted, there's not going to be too many things that's going to match a power adder bike to, it's just a power adder bike's going to be in its own league when it comes to half mile stuff for the bigger bikes, smaller nitrous motors, whatever, that's a little different, but like just Cross's H2 Cross's turbo booster right now. I want to say in a half a mile he did 222, and I feel pretty confident he said this publicly, but that is on a very conservative setup.
No, yeah, I think it was the last pod, right, Reap? He said he did like 220 or whatever.
I think Landon said that, right? Because I don't think George was on here.
Yeah, no, you're right. Landon was the one that.
Yeah, I think Landon said that.
That's fucking wild, bro. 220 and a half, dude.
220 and a half. And if you look at that pass, it was not the smoothest, right? So if you look at what he has put out in the public, like, I'm not saying anything. Now, I know a lot more than the general public. So I'm trying not to give any kind of information out there. He has blessed me with trust, and I don't want to,
no, absolutely
break that between him. But what he has put out in the public, like, you can watch his videos. That bike it worked, but it wasn't stable. And
he tore up some transmissions or something like that, right? Prior to, or
Miami was a whole different fucking ball game. I mean, give that man an MVP because he was trying. He was trying to do everything he had to do to make that race. And but regardless, like, that was just not a smooth pass. So now you take his abilities to make that bike work a little bit better on different surfaces and stuff, and his number, I'll let y'all guess what it's going to be, but 220 is what he's put out into the atmosphere. So in a half mile. So what other combination are you going to have that's going to mess with that mile an hour wise, right? So what you look at after that is ET. Now, there are some bikes that ET fairly close to his in the shorter race, and it could potentially hold him off because, their short half is just so much faster. But now, if you take that into a 9/10 race, that's not even a race. You're clearly going to be outgunned. But with a half mile is you could potentially set that race up where it lines up good. Perfect example, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not trying to bring up any bad blood or anything, but I want to say it was last year. Pupo's Gixxer raced Damon's H2 or Manny's H2. I can't remember which H2, but I know they raced an H2 in a half mile, and bikes had issues. I'm not going to say, what the difference was a difference with it there was, but it just gave it a fair race because it was a half mile. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah,
if it would have been a 9/10, like, that H2 could have messed up 900 times and still won the race in a 9/10.
Okay, so the H2 didn't win then, because I was actually going.
No, that race, to my recollection, I want to say the H2 spun like majority of the whole fucking pass, but that's not here nor there. Like that, I'm not bringing this in as an example to bring any bad blood. I'm just using this as an example because if that H2 would have had the extra real estate for the 9/10, that clearly would not have been a race. So the half mile, I think, makes it a lot more entertaining.
Okay, well, we recently had one of our topics was Do you think it takes a lot of skill to roll race? And if so, like in what capacity? No, I'm just this is like one of those conversations me and Cartel always have.
It's a good topic.
Like what?
And I've brought drag racers out to street race or roll race, and they use some of their logic from or their knowledge from drag racing and try to apply it in roll racing, and it doesn't always translate well.
Yeah.
So it's no fault of his own. Like that, he's a pretty good friend of mine at the time. He comes out and he hits it. And he's like, all you gotta do is twist the throttle. It's good to go. What can be wrong?
No.
and
yeah,
it's not that it was like wrong or right. It's just like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting some of this, right?
Yeah.
So both I think take skills. I think the track you have to utilize a little bit more mechanical and mechanisms. Roll racing I think is more of a educational point of a setup, because like if you're someone like Evan, he's going to set your bike up where it's going to do the same thing every time, and it's going to be you. Like it's not going to wheelie, it's going to go straight. But now if you come in from drag racing and use some of your drag racing setups, because most successful drag racers have like a little book, like, okay, this track uses this setting. Well, if you use some of those same settings, it's not going to translate well in the street, and you can get by with like just shock settings alone. You can get by with, in certain scenarios, a completely different shock combination for a rider of, say, 170-pound rider on the street versus a roll race bike and versus a 170-pound dig racer's shock setting wise. So yet again, I think if you're roll racing, you need to have a little bit more understanding of how the suspension and everything works.
Yeah, setup. Yeah, the setup knowledge.
I think the setup knowledge is more important in roll racing.
Yeah, I think that so in a broader spectrum, right? Like whether it's driver skill, setup, I think it's more of a setup skill in roll racing than it is a driver skill. I think it's way more important.
As long as this bike is set up right or consistent, whoever's riding it, all you have to do is twist your throttle. So after that becomes in your confidence in the bike, because clearly if you're not confident in it, you're going to roll the throttle, and there is a difference in rolling into the throttle and snapping the throttle.
Yeah.
Like, the bike reacts different. The bike, it loads the chassis different. So there's a lot of, so when I was tuning, I would watch how the rider rode the bike and tailor the bike to around that, instead of trying to teach a rider how to ride the way I wanted him to.
Okay. I think, and Cartel knows this, man, I'm like one of the old schools that just love riding.
Yeah.
So when you talk about consistency, so like you're talking about like essentially messing around, like detuning within the ECU the first couple of gears, or messing with the power output, that sort of thing.
So
that's the only way you're snapping the throttle every single time.
Basically, you were making it where, depending on your surface, that bike will go down the track every time, or the surface every time. So yes, that is detuning in certain areas, and that is changing to adapt to the surface that you were racing to.
Yeah, the climate that you're in.
Right, and I'm with you, Reep. Like I love the rawness of some of the old school bikes, right? Like, no electronic thrills. You got horsepower and fucking brakes, and that's it. And you hang the fuck on. But
don't get me excited, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, competition is aggressive and compounding interest, basically. And when you're consistent, you win races, right? And that's just it. That's more consistency wins more races than just Hail Mary skill. And it's good to have that Hail Mary and that, balls of steel kind of style riding. But if, do I want to rely? So like, if you got 30 bands on the fucking line, do I want to rely on my skill riding, or do I want to make sure this bike goes fucking as straight as possible?
Yeah.
Well, hold on, man. You added money into it. See, that's different.
It is different.
That's valid.
All I'm trying to show you is a different perspective.
I
because
like that objective. So he's being objective. I get it.
It changes your end goal. Like if we're just out bar hopping with the buddies, like I don't drink, so like I'm just using this as an example. If we're just spot hopping and we're riding down the street and we're second gear and we're having to fight the wheelies and shit like that and having fun, then fuck yeah, like that's what I want to have. But when you start getting competitive, you lose the fun of it and you go to serious.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Inviting Yada on the chat. That's very much appreciated. We always need Yada's energy wherever we go. Thank you.
Who?
Yada.
Yada will be another icon. I'm just letting y'all know
I'll
right
tell
now.
You about Yada later. Yeah.
If you haven't met Yada, you will. I promise you.
Yeah, he's quite the personality, bro. But actually, since he's on here, if you had to pick a strong quality of yours, Evan, do you feel like your strongest assets is on the setup side or the tuning side of things? I feel like that might be a trick question, but I'm really honestly asking.
I just
you know what?
Chat, so
I actually have a question for Adam. Do you think that the Booster can compete with these fucking Jixers?
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
that's I do not crucify me. I do not give a flying fuck about any title. I'm just letting you know right now. But the data that I know for a fact, there are motor boosters going just as fast as these Jixers. Okay. And now those people when they come to the street, so like with growth, right? So like people, well, let's see. Let's take this back a little bit. 4 years ago, we went to Miami. We had a few money runs. We had a good time. It was a handful of trailers and some out-of-towners. Well, then the next year, it grows even bigger, and we see what goes on, right? We get more and more popular.
Right.
Well, now, along with, you have had Chris Moore, which is a very famous drag racer. He's came into the roll racing scene. Mm-hmm. So now he has brought, not him solely, but he has showed the drag scene that there is money in the streets again. So now I'm pretty diverse in the roll racing and drag racing scene. So now I have drag racing guys coming out and saying, hey, do y'all think we can get a race with this if we set it up right? Yeah, 100%. And these guys don't they have money. They don't give a shit. Now, I don't know where their money comes from, and I'm not going to ask because it's all green, but it's going to pull a
bigger crowd.
It's going to pull a more competitive crowd. It's going to be a more aggressive crowd. It's going to bring goods and bads to the sport, the community, whatever you want to call it. So there's a lot. 24 is going to be interesting. I know of two different grudge guys that have significant motors, and they don't care if they blow it. We'll say it that way. And they've already said if we can get a race for 20 plus, we'll come and blow that bitch every time. Like they don't care. So
20 plus what?
20K.
All right. Yeah. Well.
I'm just saying, these guys just are on a whole different level. I ain't that guy. It's not going to be me, but I'm hoping to start seeing a lot more boosters putting up something. But the backside of that is when you start seeing more and more boosters getting faster. Guess what? You're going to start seeing everybody getting boosters and building them, and then it's going to go back to the. So like
I've never ridden a booster, so I'm
5 years. Well, do it and change your life, and then let me know how much you want for your BMW.
Yeah, it's a life changing experience.
Okay. Dude, you're a bigger guy too. So like I'm telling you right now, the boost is
hold the fuck on. What do you consider a bigger guy here?
Bro, are you
in the roll race world?
You're taller, bro. You're taller.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're not you're not.
Reap is gonna fucking get me with this. So make sure you pick your words wisely here, please.
Are how tall are you?
I'm 5'9", 5'10", somewhere.
Okay, there you go. And like you probably got a pretty good size build on. So you're what, 190?
All right, fair enough. I'll take it.
I'm asking, like, I'm not.
Shit, you 190?
Right now, yeah, I've been eating a lot of cupcakes, bro. I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Yeah.
Well, either way, when you feel like, now, mind you, I come from that atmosphere. I'm 6 foot and like 220. Well, was 220. So like me on the bike was just a parachute. You go to a Busa, you don't even feel the wind, bro. It's just whisper.
Okay, got you.
And then you're going to be like, oh, what is this? Torque on demand? Like, this is great. I can leave out of 6th gear and it doesn't chug. It doesn't do anything. I'm telling you. And the seat's wider. Your ass has got more comfort. The Busa is the shit.
Yeah, but the only downside to the Busa is what? The amount of money you got to spend.
Yeah,
really?
you are not shaking the world up with a stock motorbike. I'll say.
No, you're not. Not, bro. Like, your S1000 will beat the hell out of my Gen 3 right now.
Right. Like
you know what?
I've been off my Gen 3 so much lately. When I did get the BMW running and I got onto it, I was like, holy shit, I kind of forgot how quick this bike was.
Yeah, the 1K's got a little pep in its step, but the Boost, and you don't feel it. Like he said, you don't feel it.
It's so different, in my opinion. Yeah. By all means, if we're ever at an event and you got your helmet with you, you're more than welcome to take the white bike out. Like, I don't care. It's worth the experience.
You know what? Your white bike is probably the only Busa that I've seen thus far with a stock tail that I like. I almost bought a Busa, right? So before I got into bikes, because I go back and forth from bikes. Before I got back in it, I almost bought a Busa with a jigsaw tail because that's the only way I like them. Now, you're the first bike that I saw, besides Reap showed me a picture of his bike, the way it's set up, that looked pretty fucking gangster. But that I actually really like the tail on. I'm not a fan of the Busa tail. The new tails look pretty cool. But other than that, bro, I like the Busa front with the jigsaw tail. I do. I know that's like abortion or whatever, but I like it.
It all depends on what you like and how you grew up with it. Like, I like the aerodynamics of a Busa. I think the best looking stock wheelbase bike is a Gen 2 Busa, slammed just on its nuts, like just in the dirt. That is the best looking stock wheelbase bike.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So with me, like, I like the aerodynamics. I like the sleekness of the Busa. And the Gen 3, when it first came out, like, we did a whole podcast on it. It didn't like, I wasn't going to buy it. I'm like, it just doesn't do much for me. It is what it is. And then I rode, yet again, Steve, 5-Up Motorcycles. I rode his in Michigan. And I'm like, this is probably the most slowest but fun vehicle I've been on in a while. And like, you could just snap the throttle. It wouldn't really come up. It would just, me and I don't know if y'all know Dave, the painter, up in Ohio. He does some of Eve's stuff, but me and him was just racing on back roads out of like 6th gear, just goofing off. Right. We had a blast. But after that, I started looking and luckily found my white bike, and the people that sold it to me were fucking cool as shit. They actually delivered that bike from Texas all the way to South Carolina.
Oh,
really?
Sick.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? You went to do some weight reduction? Said, damn.
So yes, I had some high hopes, right? So
yeah,
Evan, if y'all follow or remember that his stock motor Gen 2 Busa was doing work. Like, it ran very, very, very well. And I was trying to follow in that footsteps, so to speak. You know, his attention to detail is significantly better than mine. But I was like, with his help, I could get somewhere. Well, we start cutting weight on this thing, and I'm like, Evan, why is this bitch not getting any faster? What the fuck is going on with this bike? And it's an ongoing joke that it just sucks. Like, it just is what it is. It don't have the power.
Just the track. You got the lemon.
I mean, it's not that it's
not a lemon. It's the Gen 3, man. It's just
where
the bike.
where they kind of neutered it for, economy reasons.
Right?
Yeah, emissions wise, I think it just fucking sucks because I've heard a lot of positive feedback from the drop-in cams, versus if you do the Brock's Gen 2s or the Brock's the Brock drop-in cams, or if you do, I think there's like Monster or somebody's doing Gen 2 drop-in cams for them as well. But either way, I've heard
drop-in cams though, like you don't need no valve train or nothing. Like you really.
No, because the cams that I can't speak for Brock's, but like the other kit that I've heard about is all he's doing is sending you basically a timing guide set, and you just drop in bone stock Gen 2 cams, which are not that, like, Gen 2 cams aren't super aggressive or anything, so you can get by with the valve train that the Gen 3 has. Because if you want to look into it, the Gen 3 has a significant better bucket design and some other technical shit that I clearly don't know the full details of, but I know just enough to kind of get me in trouble in that aspect. But I know the valve train side of the Gen 3 is better, except for the shitty small cams. So, but I don't personally, the way I look at it, and I'll probably get hate for this, but if the motor is opened, like it kind of takes away from that stock-ish. Like I don't want to have any if or buts about like my motor stock, because I'm not trying to make that bike like 100% competitive. It's going to be lightweight and it's going to be a stock motor, and then it's just is what it is. So I'm kind of torn on that. Now I will tell you right now, like I'm looking at the throttle bodies. I don't think they're going to net a bunch of power, but I think that's something that is easily unboltable and bolts on and doesn't necessarily count, in my opinion, as motor work.
How much power do you think you're going to net though on a stock bike though? You know what I mean?
With
like
throttle bodies, I mean, with throttle bodies and stack profile design, you're 3 horsepower. I mean, nothing. If that, if we're lucky, I would say 3 horsepower.
Yeah, I think it's, well, I know the numbers on big bore, but like a big
right.
Bore,
and I don't know when it comes to stock bore with stock cams how that's going to work, especially in the higher revs. But that's kind of where I'm at. Is I don't care. I don't have the money to just pour everything into that bike, and I want to have the purple bike be competitive. So I have to pick. You know, we're all human. We have other obligations, and
right.
My purple bike is my obligation bike this year.
Okay, well, shit, that's the fastest one by far, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, that's clearly got a substantial advantage over everything, and that's the one I've been putting together for the greater part. Damn, if Evan's still in chat, he might remember, but I want to say we went to Alabama in 2020. So, like, I've had that bike for a while now and not done anything with it realistically.
And you know, what's your advice for anybody that wants to build a road race turbo bike? Since you did it,
I'm not gonna say don't, because that's what got me here, right? Like, truth be told, when I was up to the point of getting to the next step.
Man. Don't do it.
Like, what?
No, you're about to say, like, hey, just save your money, don't do it. Stay in it.
No. It's just like, you really do your research, because there's a lot more involved than just throwing a turbo. You can get reckless on there, throw your turbo kit on it, and fucking send it. Like, who gives a shit? I know a lot of people that have a lot of success at that point. But if you're building it for roll racing, in my opinion, it needs an extra bells and whistles that the factory bikes do not come with. So you need a standalone. Well, if you do a standalone, then you have to have confidence in whoever's wiring it. I went to a shop that I thought was going to be, I thought was going to at least be competent enough to give me a running bike. And they did give me a running bike, except for it gave me a lot of issues after that. It welded or melted the rectifier wires, because they used too small gauge, and like the fans weren't hooked up, and it just, either way, it was a mess of shit. I kept thought like I would do a pull And every time I would shut the throttle, my intake or my temperatures would spike up, like my coolant temps. So I don't know what y'all's technology or, y'all's experience has been, but my experience has been after a pull and you start seeing a spike in your water temperature, that's a blown head gasket. Like that's just kind of where it is or from my experiences. So I start doing leak downs and I'm like, dude, this is fine. What the fuck's going on? Well, fast forward a lot of shit. And it was just the way the bike was tuned. When you went to 0% throttle, it would just lock the TPS or the timing at a certain, it was like 30 degrees of timing or something ridiculous. So it would just keep the EGTs hot as fuck. So
they wired it off funny.
It was a bad experience. I'll say it that way. And it went from an $8,000 bill to almost a $15,000 bill when I went to pick the bike up.
Oh my God.
So, and that cost me ultimately it cost me, I had to rebuild the motor because we had issues with it. I'm not going to say it was necessary from the wiring harness and the install there, but it didn't help it. I'll say it like that. It didn't help it by any means. And then like there was goofy shit. So like my bike has a laser sensor on it, laser rod height sensor. Well, when the bike would wheelie, it was actually the way they had it programmed. It would increase timing into the motor. So thankfully I never done a pass on it because I never trusted the bike fully. That's a whole nother podcast of experience there, but I never made a full pass, and thankfully I didn't because it would have necessarily could have potentially really grenaded something because it was adding like 10 degrees of timing at 10 inches of wheelie travel.
Which rod height sensor do you have?
Oh Jesus, I have no fucking idea.
By the way, Adam, congratulations! You are the longest podcast we've had to this day.
Oh, well, I told you I'd at least give you 2 hours. So
is he the longest?
Absolutely. Like I tell Reap all the time, yo, Reap, nah, fuck that. We got to keep this shit to like an hour, and fuck that, Reap. No, but this was a good one, man. I'm pointing that out because it definitely you got everybody else beat by quite a bit, man.
Well, and by all means, we can keep it short. I'll be more than honored to come back on here and chit chat with y'all.
Part 2 with Boosted Fat Kid. Oh my God, dude.
Boosted Fat Fish, come on, motherfucker! I'm trying.
Yeah, he looks like he slimmed down. Yeah. I need to get on your diet, bro.
Oh shit. Just pay attention in a couple weeks, and I'll talk about what I've been doing as far as the healthy side of life.
Head cam, the Booster. I'm assuming is that like a big thing with the boosters? Head cam.
So
and life is good.
Yes, the head is very restricted from factory, and obviously the cams are not desirable by any means. So if y'all noticed, Evan kept his bike head and cam for like all of 6 days. It was fucking retarded, but it ran good. Like his head cam booster was running like 1441 boosters normally run. Like you're just your average, you're going to bike night, you run across the guy with a 1441. So yes, that's what I need to do to keep that bike competitive. But yet again, I can spend, if I do all the work myself and send the head out, I don't know what head ports cost these days, but I'm in it for a minimum of $3,000, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
$3,000 is, damn near, I could be getting carbon wheels for the turbo bike, or, I could be getting the tail section for the, there's just more things that I need.
Bike makes more sense to spend the money on right now.
For me, that's what it does. I mean, like, I don't think that bike's going to be an award winner by any means this year, but I'm at least going to try and throw my ring in the hat, or my name in the hat, so to speak, because I think I've got a contender. We just got a few more tweaks, and then then we'll start having some fun with it.
Well, I'll tell you, man, if I ever get my turbo bike finished, man, like I'm a racer in 2030, man. You know what I mean? And about 30, that projects are going to be complete.
Listen, Adam,
you sounded like a robot, so whatever you said, I didn't hear any of it. Was that just
man? Internet, bro. Like I pay my money monthly, bro. understand what's happening to my internet. Y'all are clear.
Yeah. Reed's talking about whenever his projects are done.
Whenever my projects are done, I'll race you. You know, I'll try.
And that's and like I want to say it clearly, like I don't want to be like I still don't want this bike to be like I'm going to try to come out here and call the world out. I don't care.
Right.
I want to go truthfully, I want to go fuck around with some cars that think they have some fast shit. Like that's what I want to do. I want to just like because the car guys are beating around up on bikes that have no dealing with. It's like, hold on, like you can't pick on my little brothers. Like, hold the fuck up. Let me get in the ring.
LaPearl said Reaper's on that Boost Mobile internet.
Damn.
You know what, man? I might hardline this for the future because this is like it's really starting to get on my nerves, man. It really is.
Listen, Adam. Right? Like, so I thought about if I got rid of my BMW to build a turbo bike, right? Like, and one thing that I've witnessed and like learned is that if I was to build a turbo bike, right? And I'm talking about stock motor, slap on like a good turbo kit, fuel management, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely not going to be a newer bike. So let's say, so from my point of view, I said, well, I could buy an 08, lower compression, and probably run 5 pounds and not, and at least do at least a season without blowing the fucking motor up, right? Because it's almost impossible from what I'm seeing from the newer motors to do a turbo kit without having to open up the motor.
So, and I don't know how much truth is in it. I'm just reading what is out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gentleman, and I want to say he goes by the handle of like Snail Speed or Speed Snail or something like that. And he has a Gen 3, and he claims to have like 320 horsepower on 100% stock components, and he's had that set up for over a year. He has several turbo bikes, so like he is not.
Man. Yeah, don't follow him, man. Like he does random shit. Like don't.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. I'm just reading what is out there. Personally, 5 pounds of boost. Your biggest issue is going to be your intake air temperatures. Mike would be the one that I would, really seek answers into because he's already been there and done that stuff.
Yeah.
But he feels confident that he can make 500 horsepower on a stock ECU. And honestly,
wow,
from what that man has proven to me that he can do, if he says he can do it, I trust him. But I don't know if that would be something you would be interested in because it probably won't last long.
No.
So, it's just like the Gen 1 stuff. When I was looking at mine back in the day before it got stolen, my first Gen 1, it was I think you could do a spacer plate and you could make like 270 horsepower on a relatively safe setup. Your fuel and intake air temperatures is going to be
270 is plenty, man, for the street.
270 is a lot of horsepower until you start chomping away or trying to chomp away at the big boys, and then you got to think your 270 horsepower. But I haven't seen a streetable turbo bike less than 450 pounds. I'm not saying you it can't be done. I'm just saying like a streetable turbo setup, I would say max effort's going to come in at like the 450 pound range. So like when you start adding your weight, you're like, yeah, 270 is a lot. And don't get me wrong, it's still like you're going to be fucking fast. It's just there's levels to it, right? Like, you just kind of gotta take it by steps. Like Terrorist said, 5 psi you'll be fine on a stock Gen 2 motor. I want to say on a Gen 1 you can get a little bit higher compression and get by with it.
Got you.
It all depends on the turbo kit you buy. You got to get one that's unfortunately expensive as fuck, because those are going to be the ones that have the better intercooler systems. They have the better oiling designs. They have the scavenger pumps if that's what that kit requires.
Yeah.
It's not just a boom, here you go. Now you could throw it on 3 turbo kit and it lasts for fucking ever and you have a good time. But when you start trying to get to that competitive edge, then you got to start tweaking your recipe a little bit. But you want to build something to go have fun, dude. That's
I
it.
think
Like
RCC is the company that I looked up that they had like a OA Jigsaw kit for like, I don't know, like 6 bands with all the fucking, with like a good amount of the shit that you would need to just bolt on and like, you know, get it tuned and go.
now, do you know if that was an intercooled kit or just a standard plenum kit?
That's probably, I don't think it was intercooled, bro. I don't think so.
That sounds standard.
With this, yeah, exactly. I mean, with that price range, it does sound standard, but with the style of racing that we do, half of a mile, full throttle, and boost, you're gonna have to have a good fuel, and you're gonna have to let that bitch cool down.
Yeah,
so that's one thing that like the H2 guys learned, unfortunately, very fucking quick. Like you got to let these bitches cool down because they're getting hot.
The IAT get too hot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is Kawasaki at least gave you an IAT's temperature sensor, didn't they? Like, isn't it on the dash? Okay, he's gonna come back to us. But I'm pretty sure that they're on the dash, and you can just keep an eye on it and you're good to go.
Okay.
And like, so if you
talking about for the H2 or
for the H2, doesn't it have an intake air temperature sensor on it? Like on the dash?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
So you have that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. So like if you were to build build a booster or Jix or whatever, and you didn't have an intercooler, either way, it doesn't matter what you have on there. At minimum, you need to put an intake air temperature sensor on there to get an idea of where you're at.
Got you. I think ultimately, right? Like if I really wanted to be in the game to, for example, right? Like once again, I like having a street bike that I can ride every day as of right now. But if I was to really want to be competitive, you know, I don't know if I would sit here and completely build a motor top to bottom. But it'd probably be a Jigsaw from just off of man. It's the information is out there, and I'm sorry, Reap. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear the cheating shit. It is what it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you finish your bike. Hopefully by then I'm skilled enough that I could fucking jockey your shit. But I'm just saying, like, the Jigsaw's probably what it is. Although Matt's ZX10, that's a fucking very nice looking bike, and that fucker just looks fast. It just looks fast.
I think as long as Matt gets out there into the scene this year, that bike will definitely upset some people.
What is the X10?
Yeah. Not, no offense, Matt, not Matt himself, but Matt's bike will potentially, will be very underestimated, so to speak.
Okay.
That bike runs. I mean, from what I've seen and the data that I've been privileged to, like, it's putting up some good numbers.
Man, Evan's really vouching for fucking boosters, bro. Like,
oh, he loves it.
Listen, I have zero experience, bro. So I'm gonna have to fuck around and get on someone's fucking booster here and really see what the fuck is going on, because
you're gonna feel what it's like to not be in the atmosphere. You're not gonna hit the wind's not gonna be fighting you. You can tuck comfortably, and you're not having to like squinch down behind a windscreen this big.
Nice. Well, my tucking game is trash anyway, bro. So
well, then there you go. Get a booster. You don't even have to try.
I was looking at my videos from when I was racing Track Ready Performance in his K67. One of his customers or whatever. Shout out to him. He was a cool dude. And I was like, fuck, man. You know, I gotta work on a lot of shit, bro. You know, but I mean, it is what it is. Miami.
That's the progression. You can sit there and self-evaluate yourself and be like, cool, I need to work on this.
Listen, bro. I went to Miami with no fucking seat time on that fucking bike, which was probably my biggest mistake. But unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast when you live in Boston and your bike's in Tampa. You know, like I fly out there as much as I can, but you know, I didn't have the seat time for it, but I don't regret it at all. I had a great time either way. But yeah, I'm looking back at the videos, everything was just trash. I need to figure it all out. But yeah,
that's what happens. I mean, you come out and the people that come out and experience it and race, you see what you did, you see what you got to do and work on, and then you go back to the drawing board.
Oh,
If you come out and you're picking every race that you want to do, like you're racing for free anyway. So what does it matter? Like,
no, yeah, I wish I would have raced more. Honestly.
Personally, on my white, I'm at the place now where like I will kind of pick and choose some races when the crowd dictates how much I'm racing. I will say it that way. But as soon as I got to the spot on Sunday, it's like, hey, will you go race this guy? And I'm like, sure, fuck it, let's go. And then I seen what bike it was. I was like, well, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. I'm going to lose. But I done it. I had fun.
Hey, how'd you feel? Yeah, I had a question for Adam real quick. That hyper booster you raced, man, how, like, he looked like he passed you standing still, bro.
Yeah, no, that was terrifying. That was the fastest I have ever been passed, ever. Like that,
I didn't see that race.
That was last year.
Yeah, I saw some traffic on it, man, and I was like, there's no fucking way that he passed him that damn fast.
It was. I mean, 100%. Like that's a half mile, and I got the hit. I can't remember if we agreed on the hit, but I just left. I had no race. Like I knew I was going to lose, so I'm taking everything I fucking can. And that thing's insane. He did pretty sure on his video that he's posted on YouTube, he did like 220 some miles an hour and a half there as a stock wheelbase bike. So, you know, that bike's a handful too.
Well, you know what? We're going to turn it over like right now into like the chat to see if they got any questions for you.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. And like I said, I'm more than honored to come back on here, and I want to address something else before we leave. And it's, you know, it just is what it is on my behalf.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, speak freely, man. Like, go ahead.
Well, you know, so it was kind of weird at the beginning of this. Everybody, when I started sharing y'all stuff, everybody's like, oh, you know, the competition. And like, I clearly, in my opinion, like, I don't think it's a competition. I think there's enough space in this that we can all freely have podcasts and sit here and talk about different things. Like, this is kind of what collective minds do, right? We bounce ideas off of each other and we grow the community to be the best thing that we possibly can. So that was weird in my opinion. Like everybody was like, oh, they're the competition. I'm like, nah, man, we're not even looking at it like that. There's a totally different realm of what we have in ideas, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to say. Like, it's not.
Well, you know, that's good though. That's good. Competition is always great if they think that's what this is, you know?
Right. But there's no hostility here. Like, I want y'all to have, if Evan will come on here, have Evan on. He's a fucking wealth of knowledge. He's a little short. You got to give him a phone book and stuff, but he'll be on here.
Hey, no, because Reed had a fucking, your boy that looked like Gary
Keith?
Coleman. What was his name?
Oh, Keith, the drag race. Right, yeah.
Keith was he was a small guy, man. Funny guy, but he was small too. So
yeah, like, I mean, so we all each reach different people in different perspectives of life. So it's like, this is all networking for me. So like the people y'all know, you can hook us up with and vice versa.
Absolutely.
Like I see nothing but benefit from this.
I do as well. I want to ask who is big that because they got to be a heavy hitter type class for the road race community, right?
Oh, absolutely. I could tell you that. I think we probably all have the same. At least me and Adam probably have the same sentiment as far as like super heavy hitters. I think Brett, his whole crew, Samiti, that's kind of part of it. Ralph, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will say it like this. Ralph would be one of the newer ones, and he has definitely earned his stripes, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Samiti's just an OG. Yeah.
Evan knew what I was
Evan keeps selling Will Heat. Now,
I talked to Will.
That's what I meant, bro.
Are you talking heavy hitters?
Guys.
You're talking about heavier guys.
Not heavy hitters, bro. I said heavy hitters, big guys. Big guys.
Right.
You little small guys. Y'all don't care about us, bro. Y'all don't care about us.
What the hell? Like, dude, my best friend in the real racing scene was 250. You know, Christian on King Kong was doing work, and he was, he was up there in the heavy hitters class, or as you want to word it.
Hey, so we're gonna actually have Will Heat on. You know what I mean? Sooner than later. But
dude, Will is fucking hilarious, and like it's sad to say because it's not a good scenario that somebody gets their car repossessed. Like that sucks. But I loved watching his fucking video where he's repossessing somebody's car and they're trying to stop him because Will is a small walking statue. Like you're not fucking moving him.
Yeah,
and when people get in his face, it's like, oh, this is going to end well. Let's go.
It looks all bad. It looks like it's going to be all bad for the other person. But
dude, I mean, have y'all seen
man?
Have y'all seen the video where he gets jumped at a gas station?
I did not see that.
Will he?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I don't know. I mean, Will, if I get you in any trouble, I hope not. But yeah, dude, ask him to send you that video. Dude, they try to get their car back, and he fucking takes out like 3 of them.
Jesus Christ. And he's such a nice guy, bro.
Dude,
when I met him in Miami, he was such a nice guy, dude. Like what? Like your shit is getting repoed. What did you do wrong? Don't blame the guy taking the car, bro. Like at the end of the day.
Hey, he's just got a job to do. He's trying to feed his family.
Absolutely, bro. And I think it's gangsta how he brings the bike on the repo truck.
Dude, that's next level shit. When I seen that, and he's got it all lit up too, like so it adds to it. So if you see it at night, he's got the white light shining down on the ground, and then there's this bike sitting there.
Yeah, I could see that, Evan. That you definitely
man.
You definitely have Will Heat shirts in a stash somewhere because But no, hey, the fucking guy can ride that bike, bro. And I told him, I was like, bro, you're a fucking animal on that bike, bro. He defies the laws of gravity in a sense. I feel like anything's possible, Reap.
It's something about those PGR guys. Like all of them are bigger and all of them can fucking run. Like Christian, Elvin, and Will, they're all bigger guys and they can fucking ride.
Yeah. Yeah. So Reap, the sky's the limit, brother. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure that by the time your bike come out,
just turn the boost up.
Well, on which fucking bike, bro? Because Reap's got I don't fucking.
Well, that's on him. I don't know what to say on that one.
Yeah, bro.
Focus on one.
I tell him, figure it the fuck out, Reap. Let's get the fuck out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro.
All right. Reap, what you got left? I'll be up there and I'll be up there Sunday. We can work something out. Come over. We'll turn some wrenches. We'll get one fired up. How's that?
Bro. Good luck, bro.
Hey, man. It wasn't a Gen 3 subframe available at the fairing state, bro. So I sent the stuff out. You know what I mean? To get it made. Yeah. That's my problem with my projects, bro. Like, it doesn't exist, so I'm trying to get it made.
Dude, I tried to get a subframe made 3 different times, and I just gave up. So I was like, you know what?
Reap is a maker, okay? He is a maker. That's all his bikes are getting made from, unknown sources everywhere throughout the world. And eventually they're going to all get put together and they're all going to be amazing machines. But by the time they come out, me and you are probably going to be retired.
Damn. So it's like that, huh?
Retired.
Bro, I'm trying, man. I'm trying, bro. Earlier today, I went and tested out the H2 tank, and it was awesome. But there's some things that need to.
Oh, the kamikaze.
Yeah. They make some great stuff, but So
the best way I can say of it, and this is I've spoke this publicly. It's 80% there. Like it's a very great product. I mean, it's the fit finish to me. From my experience, the fit and finish was there. It looked good. It fit well. There was just a small discrepancies, and they just got to tweak it just a little bit more. And then honestly, they'll make a product that's going to be phenomenal. But it's just with everything, like you're making shit, so like you have to test it. Like shit. All right, that didn't work. Let's go back to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I get it. Like I was talking to him They're supposed to have a subframe coming out for the Gen 3. I don't know who you sent your stuff to, but they're supposed to be releasing a subframe relatively soon.
Yeah, I saw some traffic on the carbon subframe, I believe, right?
The one from Greece supposedly fits it very, very well, but it's a race only subframe
application.
Well, no, it's just like you can't have a trunk on it. So if you do that carbon subframe, I think you would have to have a
race tail,
like
a race tail, or configure something up and make it work. But
that's my only concern with my carbo modal tail is that, you know, I run a power command, a power 5, ignition, a fuel. I have 3 different fucking boxes back there, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of shit going on the bike, and hopefully it all works out.
Trust me, you know, on the BMW, I've got a standalone quick shifter. I've got the fuel management, and then I've got a wideband on it, or a data logger on it.
All
so yeah,
types of shit going on there.
You
like,
gotta stack so much shit, but it's, you know, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. You know, you can eliminate all those boxes if you go to a standalone.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I'm trying. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'll definitely.
I'll let Reed dabble in that before I do.
Yeah. Terrorist says something along the line. Yeah. So my carbon tank did leak. It did.
Oh.
But I ended up sending it off to get it chopped up, and then I'm putting a fuel cell in it right now. So.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. I didn't want to trash a $3,000 tank. So.
Wow,
yeah, that's a lot of money.
Now, when you said it leaked, did it just leak over time, or what happened there? And did they not want to like warranty it, or are you? I'm trying to ask questions and not trying to like throw anybody in the bus. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah. I won't say the manufacturer, but essentially what happened was I was using MR12. I got the tank lined twice actually. And over time, the resin or whatever they use, the epoxy, just kind of delaminated. It got some pinholes, and it warped.
12, bro.
And it warped the area where the the pump goes to the bottom of the beamer.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area that was flat.
Oh, it was a BMW tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Oh, I see that on terrorist things now. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm tracking. All right. So
yeah. That sucked.
That makes sense, bro. Yeah, the MR12, man, that's the root of all fucking evil. I left.
12.
But here's the thing: it ran on pump.
Bad.
It ran on pump like 90. I would say 95% of its time. So I ain't gonna say that because But anyways,
So one thing that I will say, and I hope I don't get crucified or in trouble for saying it, but one thing that we have come to the realization of is our pump gas and our accepted ethanol content varies from other countries' accepted ethanol content in their pump gas. So when a lot of product development was being tested, they were testing it with one accepted level, and our level is significantly higher. So the first round of certain manufacturers' tanks had some issues.
Yeah,
right.
It happens.
Right.
It happens. I mean, it is what it is. It does suck
because of the difference. Yeah,
but I mean, it's just a learning. It's just a learning curve.
Well, that's what. Yeah. So you must have talked to Rashid then, because that sounds
really. I did not know that.
Additionally, though, he says something about the epoxies they use are quite different as well.
Right. Like I am not a chemist. That is not my area of expertise. So like, I'm not even trying to act like I can bullshit my way through there. But yeah, there was some first versions, and then there's some revisions, and I'm pretty sure they've got everything fixed. I'm not 100% sure. I know myself, I have one that's being tested, and then I know a few other people that have theirs on the shelf being tested as well to make sure that the updated versions work. And there's nothing, and there's like clearly nothing wrong with that. Like, there's a difference between a company making a product and having an issue, and the company wanting to continue to make it better.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as all three of us have probably seen, and everybody in chat, there are certain manufacturers that make a product and then don't give a fuck
They
about
just
the
leave
customer.
it. Yeah, no.
So
I feel like I would trust in someone that is willing to make it better than one that's kind of like, oh well, this is what we're coming out with, and fuck you guys.
Right. And then like if you advertise it certain different ways, I get it, but like I will say it like this, and I'm trying to hold myself as a standard because for some reason, you know, I've got some kind of popularity in this industry. So if if it doesn't hold to a standard of value or a quality of what I would personally want to run on my shit, I don't even want to back it. So like excuse me, I had an issue with another product from another manufacturer, and I'm like, hey, is this going to be a yearly maintenance thing, or is this going to be is this going to be something that we have to disclose as far as this being a product? And they're like, no, it's this. And I'm like, okay, well, this is where I really get troublesome on, because if I say this product is good and it comes out that it doesn't, or if it hurts somebody's bike, ultimately I'm not responsible, but I will feel somewhat guilty about it.
Right.
So I don't want to see anything happen to anybody's shit. And that's how I feel. Like I want manufacturers to be on the hook for their products. Like if you sell a product, make sure it's exactly what that product's supposed to be.
Right. I think I'm going through that with the tank right now, just because there's no way I could sit there and be like, buy this tank. I told Cartel this earlier. Like, I don't have any issues with Kamikaze, but H2 owners, man, like they picky, bro. Like I'm picky. You know what I'm saying, with all my rides. And I've tore up some pumps and some injectors with these tanks, carbon and fiberglass. So yeah, man.
It's really hard on the something else you got to take in consideration is like there's more restrictions on chemicals and processes that we are allowed to use here in the States to basically fight against some of this stuff. There used to be a company that sold fiberglass full tanks. Like it was a full tank shell, but not an aluminum shell. It was like just a full lower profile. Well, they've stopped selling those because they cannot create that resin anymore. Like they can't figure out the recipe to get it where it will not basically eat through the product. So that's why you see a lot of fiberglass or carbon fiber shells over aluminum, because the aluminum, there's a few different ways to look at it. The aluminum is going to hold up to corrosive fuels, just plain in fact. It's just what it is. And then something else that was brought to my attention last week, and I never thought about it like this, but fiberglass and carbon fiber, if you're running a nitrous bike, now this won't affect us because of the style of racing we do, but the track guys, if you run a nitrous bike and if for some odd reason you have a nitrous backfire, well, now you have carbon and fiberglass, and then you have an explosion coming up toward that carbon and fiberglass. More than likely it can be fractured, and then you have fuel everywhere. So that's another reason a lot of people have kind of moved to the aluminum, because aluminum is going to take a concussion a lot more than fiberglass or carbon. Carbon can take a lot more abuse than fiberglass, obviously, but like we don't use some common sense here. But that's kind of another reason why it was like, okay, we'll just push to this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, man. I didn't even know that. What I do know.
Go ahead.
That sounds crazy though.
No, I was about to start complaining about race gas prices. How bro, I just bought MRX02. It was over $200, bro. Yeah. Like I was like, oh,
the MR12?
Yes, $207 for 5 gallons, bro. I'm like, I do listen to you and Evan's podcast, man, and I know you guys are an advocate for pump gas, and I'm starting to see why.
Yeah, no,
we're poor. We're poor. Like that just is what it is,
bro. Like for some fuel, just to have fun on. Like
I got child support to pay, guys. So trust me, MR12 comes at a price. Legit, bro.
Unfortunately, we've talked about it, and it's very hard to get everybody on the same page. As we could just show up at like Miami used to be really cool with that. We would show up at the gas station. We would put the fuel in, and at the time back then, either you showed up on MR12, you filled your bike up, and then you're like, yeah, I got pump gas, we're ready to go, and you just cruise to the spot and you cruise back. Everybody had full size tanks. There was not many support vehicles, and almost all the racing was done by like noon, and then everybody went home. So the things have evolved, and fuel tanks have gotten smaller and fuels have gotten more risky. But I'm still to the point of old school enough where I could say, as long as it's a free fucking race and there's not a whole lot of skin on the game, we could all show up at the same. I mean, like realistically, you could show up at the same pump, swipe somebody's card, and it could be the same 93. Like you never just stop, just one bike after another.
Well, that's legit, though. That is legit.
And everybody fill up on the same fuel. And then once you do that, who's got the advantage for the fuel? Now you can start arguing who's got advantages everywhere else, but fuel is one thing where you could limit yourself and be back onto an equal playing field.
It's a big advantage too.
Yeah, but some of these guys got bikes, man, that they just run optimally on race gas alone. You know what I mean? You know that.
I understand that. And those guys, in my opinion, should not be doing more freestyle of racing.
No,
like they should be taking it to the competitive side because they are investing that much more money into it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man.
MR12 is $200 now.
Well, I don't know. See, I mean, yeah, bro. I don't even know. Bro. MR12 just fucking.
Oh, they used to be like $120 back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Then it's been a minute because last time I bought it at my cost was like 160 something. So.
And well, that's what I'm saying. Like in the last 4 years, last was one that was like what 150. Now it's 200.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's only going to get worse too. I mean, it just.
Golly, man, that's crazy.
Hey, man, listen, the guys in the chat, man, I'm about to get bulk orders from you guys because the prices keep going down. LaPearl said 175, 165. Anybody for 150? I'll order a pallet tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, what the fuck, man? How the hell do you? I know a lot of the drag racers, man. They're starting to complain because they're like, racing is just too expensive now, man.
Yeah, man.
It's hard.
God, man.
Yeah, man. But hey, Reap, you have anything else for Mr. Boosted Catfish? You know what I'm saying? We talked about it.
I appreciate it. Like, I'm sorry you guys can barely hear me, but I do appreciate you coming on, Adam, for real.
No, I mean, look, it's not. I was honored. I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go. Let's have some conversation." So, I'm all for it.
Can you? I think is Evan in the chat?
He is. He was pretty active. Yeah,
he was on for a little bit, but if I'm not mistaken, that motherfucker's still on vacation. So good for him for even being in the chat.
Yeah. You for being on the chat on vacation, Adam.
I want to, for future, I feel like eventually we should do like a double up type deal where it's just like all four of us on here just talking about the community and issues or whatever.
Hey, the sky's the limit, dude. There's no hostility here. I'm for it. Like whatever we can do to better the end goal, and better the community. So.
Okay, yeah. So he's in there.
I hope you enjoyed that, Evan, and I hope you come back with looking a little brown like me over here. You know what I'm saying? Not a nice little tan out here in these streets.
So what's happening for Sunday? I'm trying to get another guest, but I'm not really certain as of yet. If we do not get a guest, then it might be me and Cartel essentially talking about ourselves because a lot of people don't really know of either one of us.
Yeah.
We just, you know what I mean? So we may do that, depending.
Okay. I'll try to listen, when I can. I catch up. I catch up with things as I can. Unfortunately, I don't get to watch them live all the time. And I know Sunday I'm traveling to my vacation. So we'll see. Okay. We'll see what we can link up. I'm still going to try to be active, but yeah, This is actually non-bike related vacation. So
I appreciate you too, Adam, bro. We had a really good conversation offline. You know what I mean? So
and I highly encourage it. Like that's something that honestly, me and Evan just kind of jumped into, and unfortunately, maybe kind of an arrogance thing that we just assumed people knew us, and we never really officially introduced ourselves. So, highly recommend y'all doing that. That way, y'all can pin it to your page and say, "Hey, this is what we're about," and you either fuck with us or you don't.
No, facts, bro, facts. You know, because this is all off the muscle of loving all this motorcycle shit. You know.
Yeah, it's too big, man. Like it's a lot bigger, and it's growing compounded every day, so it's crazy.
Right.
Matt, as far as right now, we're gonna do two. We're gonna be doing 2 pods a week, and then possibly a live between me and Reap and the chat, just kind of like shooting the shit about random things. But we're still figuring that out. You know, I could send you a message on Insta and kind of give you a better gauge. But me and Reap are still trying to figure that out as racing season is upon us, and Reap has a very busy schedule, so we're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, because I don't have a focus. You know what I mean? I'm all over the place, trying to do every fucking thing. Knee drag race. Like I got to pick something eventually. But
ADHD going on.
I appreciate you, brother. You know what I'm saying? It's past my fucking bedtime anyway. You know, when you're near 40, you know what I'm saying? Sleep is optimal. So
hey, I know how little you sleep, and you know how little I sleep.
Yeah. So Friday is my time to sleep, bro. Friday is the time for me. So I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. Listen, guys, I appreciate both you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat. And
for real, thanks for tuning in.
We'll talk.
Oh yeah, and like Evan would say, like the stream, like the stream,
like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Right, guys. It was truly an honor, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here. So,
thank you, Adam, awesome. Man. We'll talk soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good
one. Take it easy, guys.
All right, peace.